full credit for being here, but I think the team that has surprised everybody up to this point has got to be the Falcons. What a fantastic representation of what MENA as a region has to offer here. We're going to waste no time getting straight into the operator bans here for Bank. Ying first to be removed. Now, this ban was one of a lot of discussion on the desk, and there it comes. We are going to see that Nook ban. There's no better ban, in my opinion. Alems was a nightmare yesterday on Nook, and that's going to do quite a lot to debilitate what he was able to achieve. And the Valkyrie coming out as well, so the Falcons certainly doing their homework ahead of this one.
Yep, exactly as the desk was discussing, and exactly what they expected to see here, so no surprises truly when it comes to the ban phase. Definitely going to be leaving some things open, especially on the attacking side. You have Thatcher still available alongside quite a few other things, but it is going to get in the way of the plans for BDS, so thankfully for them, at least on the attacking side, won't have to worry too much about that until we get into the second half. And I'm sure Lems may have a few other tricks up his sleeve in terms of operators you may be able to pick into and still be able to play that sneaky fast, just one of the utility to back up behind it. There's the trophy that our teams are going to be playing for in this matchup, ladies and gentlemen. We are locked in for the evening. It's 8:30 local time right now, and we've got a full best of 5 locked and loaded for these teams. So let's see who will be able to take the cake as we go live with the first round here. BDS, of course, on defense, Falcons on the attack, and it'll be a basement site hold to start things out for BDS.
Shaiko essentially swapping one information gathering operator for another there. He's going to be playing the Pulse inside of this opening round. I reckon BDS will know that they were expecting some very targeted bans ahead of today, especially with how they've been performing with a couple of those operators that we have seen removed. So I'm sure they've got some tricks up their sleeve for how they want to try and deal with that. And at least for the meantime, they are extending themselves quite heavily into open area upstairs. Ranshiro going to be placing down a couple of castle barricades, getting a couple lines of sight open in there as well, but they have reinforced both of those hatches. So it is going to be a very soft hold indeed, really forcing Falcons into that roam clear. Alems, someone that we watched for so much time yesterday, doing quite a lot of damage there, is initially going to come under a little bit of fire there. Mad Skills straight into that main door, already looking to hit some pre-fires.
Watch Alems get himself picked off at the beginning of this round here, as thankfully he's able to get himself into the depths of tellers just as that pre-fire had started to come in against him from the initial clear from the Falcons. But rebuffer things specifically here towards open area, looking to fend this off and waste a large portion of the time bank. If they can get this down to about a minute or so with him still having some presence on the inside, I'll more than likely be happy with that and be more willing to fall back to the depths of the basement. Away from this, though, no sign of any immediate action. Still waiting for Lems to get his first opportunity, and the Falcons not choosing to challenge it, at least this early on in the round. You can see Mad Skills trying to go for a little bit of pre-fire. O'Kill's looking for the pinch over towards top stairs at main as well, but not going to be able to lock in any individual member of BDS just yet. Lems continues to be elusive from the inside of open. Finally gonna make a play here, but it's way too bold. Just walks right out into O-Kills, as well as the other player holding the front lobby office. He's gonna go down without dishing out any damage in return.
Alems just getting caught out there on the rotation. He does have Shaiko below with the heartbeat scanner, and I imagine Shaiko was feeding a little bit of information there over to him. Isn't going to be followed up with any sort of refrag from BDS. They are all entrenched in the site right now, and they don't want to give that up at the moment. Going to be no point rotating to try and redeem one of those kills. Instead, they need to be focused at the job at hand, which is now, of course, going to be trying to deny any sort of push that's coming through. J-Lad going to make a nice little hole there in through to the bomb site as he can look to move through and start to try and get a plan down. Ranshiro, Shaiko both playing inside of Gold Corridor. Shaiko just a little bit looser inside of the garage there. They know that this plant is going to be starting to come down. They've still got quite a bit of utility to burn as well. 3 toxic babe canisters. Breeday can get in position to use them. That's going to stem out a lot of the time here.
Good news for Falcons. We just saw that drone sneak through, getting full intel on the entirety of this security setup. So perfect for the Falcons. They know exactly, or they should know at least, where every single one of these defenders in that area is going to be playing from. Shaiko gets the first pickup, but a nice nade from Joker immediately exchanges that back out. Still going to see the Falcons lead the charge here, bringing it down. It's going to have to be Rafal to bring it back, but no, Heat as well can only go for 1 kill. Ranshiro now stands alone here in the 1v3, sets up the trade versus Mad Skills at least, but with no real way to deny this plant. We'll have to be heroic here in the clutch. The peek out from Red, the pre-fire's there from Kotos though, and the Falcons claim the first round of the tournament, or the first round of the series.
Great round there from Mad Skills as well. All he did in that round, he opened up the hatch outside of Tellers, and he dropped it and picked up a kill. Played so patiently. Didn't have to give himself loads to do inside of the round. It was all about that timing, and that little bit of a hatch drop there into goal really opened things up. Falcons doing a great job of just picking BDS apart there. Good utility usage as well. We just got a glimpse there of the nade that was almost left as martyrdom after Shaiko had already picked up the kill. And again, a good plant-focused round, looking to extend that timer and really give themselves the advantage. BDS are going to give it another go down here, and they're going to mix things up a little bit.
Nice, slow, and composed push overall from the Falcons, not giving a whole lot over to BDS, and not even really taking a whole lot for themselves over the course of the round. Just as you said, very execute-focused style of play, and they slowly are able to isolate out BDS, forcing them to make the aggressive plays and peek, at least as we saw for the last player there, directly into the Falcons setup, giving them the large majority of those kills. Obviously, the first one they pick up as well against the road game coming in from Alems helps out also, as it's just a chain of frags that's needed realistically for them to be able to win that, and that's pretty much exactly how they deploy themselves into the execute. A few change-ups going to come in from BDS. Lems will more than likely end up taking a bit more of a passive role on this round, but hold my breath on that for just a moment. He's still going to be quite adventurous up here on the second floor, but that could still be him trying to hunt down a bit of an earlier drone while still falling back here to try and reinforce the site. And of course, the hatches with the 2 electric claws that he'll bring with his kit.
Those electric claws are going to be very difficult to deal with, given that Maverick hasn't been brought here. Mad Skills just rocking the Hibana, so it is going to cause a little bit of a problem in terms of getting those hatches open, especially given that there's no real way of achieving that downstairs. Now, Alems looks as though he's going to maybe try and trick this one off. We have already seen the X-Karos pellets actually detonated on, but I don't believe he's replaced the electric claw just yet. Mad Skills still chilling out there inside of main lobby. He's going to drone ahead and just see if anyone's hanging outside of the bottom of those main stairs. Shaiko below on the heartbeat scanner, able to gather that information. He knows where O-Kills is going to be coming from. As Falcons are playing this very similar to the way that they played the last round. We are going to see that elevator hatch now opened. And it is going to give that option for that backsided push once again.
Then, of course, the Mavericks switched away, so the reinforcements that are there via the electric claws are going to be a little tough for them to be able to breach past. Going to try and insert a nade in the general area of those electric claws, and obviously, at least for these 2 hatches, it's not really going to be an option until they get themselves fully into the basement, at which point they won't truly need the hatch until they get to the post plant. Anyway, Nitro up through the small office hatch, and it's going to land true directly on top of Mad Skills to knock him out first this round. As this time it's BDS that steals away the opening frag from the Falcons, and obviously these the Falcons a little bit worse for wear here in terms of what their next move should be. Once again, though, free drone is allowed to go all the way through the CCTV setup, gives them great intel about how to proceed from this point forward. In fact, it's looking like JLab's going to make at least an opening play here to set up some utility. We'll have to see if this leads into anything else.
Just biding the time now. They know that they've got a little bit of the clock to work with here. JLad is eventually going to push in quite aggressively here on the crouch wall. He's got himself a great line of sight onto Renshiro, and he's going to look to line one up onto Shaiko as well. Keeps himself safe for the time being. The Goyo does get popped. He's going to deal a little bit of damage out there. We are seeing gunfights heavily happen in around that main stair area. A couple of kills flying in there. BDS, they're going to pick up 2. As Bride is credited with 1 from the Goyo canister, should I say, as well. It's Kotas, 25 seconds. He's left out in the cold. That's going to cut off his line of approach. BDS now know where he's going to be coming from. Shaiko's still able to watch out. Now we're seeing the Toxic Babe canisters detonated. It's going to be Shaiko to pick up that last kill. Much better round there from BDS.
And I hope for Kotos, unfortunately, inside of the 1vx. He has to try and play his best inside of that scenario, but it's too far gone. Even with the good drone intel built up, that is going to continue to be a problem for BDS if they aren't able to get a handle on that. And denied is it's 2 rounds in a row now that the Falcons had full intel about what exactly was sitting towards the depths of that security site. Thankfully, they're still able to fend it off this time off the backs of that early kill, as well as great composure when we started to see the pressure sent in, especially from the Nomad played out by Falcons. A little bit of a blunder for them there, as it does drop the case very deep in enemy territory too, and makes it pretty difficult for the rest of the squad to try and recenter, or at least make a bid to try and get a plant there on that second attack in the basement.
Round number 3 is going to see a change of site. We're going to head upstairs into open area here. The BDS was successful downstairs. They are forced into that rotation. No initial changes in the lineup from the Falcons. They are going to switch off the Ossa onto a Book instead. So going to look to prioritize some of that vertical play that is available here on this site.
10 seconds left.
BDS are rocking their same usual castle setup. This time BDS is going to be playing on the castle as opposed to Renshiro. Just a little bit of a roll swap there. The pick that really draws my attention, Blue, here is going to be Alems on the Oryx. Now, we've spoken about Alems on the Nook and how good he can be on the Nook, but he was also a bit of a pain on the Oryx as well yesterday. A lot of opportunity on this map, particularly for hopping up through hatches and using the burst of speed to gain quick rotations. And I imagine that's what he's going to try and do again here.
Even just through this site as well, should Stocko uncontested. I'm sure if the BDS members ended up leaving that soft or not, or just straight up open, but let's find out in just a moment here. As you can see, there's going to be a janitor hatch that's been left into play. Both of those leave a window of opportunity for that Oryx to potentially re-engage onto the second floor in a later point in the round, should that moment of opportunity arise. But it's quick from Joker. He's going to walk right in, completely misses Shaiko, hiding in the corner of open, though, so it's a free opening pickup for BDS again here, at the cost of the Finka for the attackers as well.
What a strange play. I mean, Joker, like, why is this happening? What are you doing? What are you hoping to achieve by rushing into side like that? He was lucky to get past Renshiro inside of Tellers, never mind Shaiko hiding behind the desk. It's a nice kill that BDS are going to say, thank you very much, we take those ones for free. Shaiko, he's not done there though. He's going to take O kills down. He's getting multiple kills from this single area alone. Barely having to move his feet before being credited with 2. And the Falcons push looks a little bit disjointed from here. We still have Mad Skills out there on the rappel. We've got J-Lad looking to clear this top floor. There's going to be nobody there, as we can see with the X-ray vision. He can look to maybe try and make a couple of holes vertical here, especially if Kotos gets up to assist. But realistically, where do you go from here?
Yeah, Shaiko's just had far too easy of a time being able to shut down some of these opening aggression. And unfortunately, the members of the Falcons are not really going to be left with a whole lot else to play. And speaking of Shaiko, there he is once again, cutting down J-Lad as he attempts to make a play. I believe from the bottom end of main stairs there is where he meets his demise. Obviously, Mad Skills trying to make up for it, pick up the trade, but Shaiko still has a pretty strong position over by the elevators. And I believe has even been able to shift since then. Mad Skills popping this hatch, getting breached here. Not going to be able to play into it too heavily just yet. Eventually, he gets beaten out by Alems on the hot room as well. Koto's the last one standing here. He does get a single trade, but that's all the team will take home on this round, as it's fairly one-sided for BDS to shut it down off of a few blunders from the Falcons at the start of it.
You cannot afford to feed Shaiko kills. Siege is a game where everything gets reset after every single round. There is no advantage to gaining multiple kills other than confidence. Somebody like Shaiko is dangerous at the best of times. You give him a little bit of confidence, you feed him a couple of freebies, he is going to be very difficult to deal with indeed. Look at him go, 4 kills on the round there. Picking up this last one as well. I think it was worth noting, Shaiko is around 26 kills behind O kills going into this fixture, so BDS haven't played as many maps as the Falcons have. Falcons have had a lot of 2-1 victories. BDS have had a lot of 2-0 victories. They haven't dropped a map yet moving into this grand finals. As such, the kills are a little bit skewed. And O kills is around 26 kills ahead of Shaiko going into this. There is a prize for the highest kill getter inside of the tournament, the player credited with the most kills. And already Shaiko is looking to try and extend that lead a little bit. It would be very difficult for him to catch up, but it's still possible.
Yeah, obviously, if we see O-Kills keep pace with the games that he's had previously, more than likely, we will still end up seeing that 25K bounty go towards him. But obviously, if his performance is falling off to a huge degree in this series is to go the full distance, maybe, just maybe, we can see Shaiko close that gap, especially with him having rounds like that. Not even bid something for the Falcons. Hey, let's give him a chance, you know, give him a few more of those kills, give him an opportunity to make this a bit more competitive. But
if there's one player that could do it, it's going to be Shaiko, isn't it? You know, he is regularly in there for, regardless of BDS's placing inside of a tournament, Shaiko's always up there as most kills.
So the Falcons going to look to quickly course correct for their mistakes on the previous 2 rounds here. We'll have to go into a new pasture to handle those. Obviously, we're upstairs on the hold now, and that has led into a few changes to BDS's lineup as well. Lem's changing his roamer also. He's going to be going over to the Vigil for this round, already priming himself for a potential play, too. You can see Kotos creeping up to that corner. over here inside of Square, but the shield from the Osa is going to be supporting it to a good degree. Lems moves out. He's got to remember, though, the beeper is sitting over here by the door. They will activate. More than likely, some of the Falcons able to hear that down below. We'll keep Overwatch to his position now, but Shaiko also doing double duty here, trying to fend off some of the pressure coming in from that same top square position that his teammate down below is watching. He also has to fend off some of this play coming in from Stock also, and this is where things might get a little bit dodgy for Shaiko, as it might just be a bit too much pressure for him to contend against, but he's still ready for the challenge, goes for the peek against the corner of one of the Stock windows there, but realizes what may be coming out against him, so begins to back up as he takes up a position over here towards the top stairs instead.
Seems like Shaiko and Alems are doing everything inside of this round. They're really battling back against the Falcons, trying to get control of top square. Alems is playing extremely patiently on blue, and he's got the opportunity to rotate there as well. He doesn't need to play too aggressively. If he can just sit and maybe pick himself up one, even if he leaves himself in position to rotate, it will be a job well done. Shaiko now concerned with the skylight, a horrible angle to be trying to challenge onto. He's looking more than likely to get a little bit lucky here if anybody from Falcons chooses to peek over. He's still got the small matter of that pressure coming in through Stock. We can hear the wub wub activate now as he's coming under increasing fire. Takes a good chunk of damage there and might need to dip down out of these stairs. Bit of vertical pressure coming in there onto Kotos as well. I'm afraid that Ossa shield is not going to help you if someone is shooting through the floor. Lems has picked his time to make that rotation as 2 kills fly in here for the Falcons.
It's going to be 2 players holding those upstairs positions here, but mind you, Falcons have wasted a whole lot of time being able to pick up these kills, but that might not matter a whole lot. The members of the Falcons quickly carving control over the site. Shaiko, the only one remaining, and O-Kills quick to clean him up as well. Definitely stretched for time, but they are eventually able to fend off that exterior pressure by Stock and top stairs to open up a window for themselves to swing into the site and take control. That'll be 2-2 now as we go into the 5th round.
Not a great deal separating these two teams at the moment. The tertiary site there for BDS not working out. I imagine we will head back down to the basement now for round number 5. So there wasn't a great deal they could do to stop the pressure coming in. As soon as Falcons hit that goal button, as soon as they decided that they were going to full commit into that execute, kills really did start to fly in their favor. BDS, could you critique them for being a little bit too passive potentially inside of that last round? I commented it. Alems and Shaiko seem to be doing all of the work. We had Renshiro, Bride, and Rafal all playing deep back inside of the site. Obviously, they were looking to control the banana area of things, but just didn't manage to do so.
So you can see the crowd obviously favoring them, the hometown heroes here. They want to see if this challengers can be able to take down one of the Titans from Europe and claim for the first time that we're seeing Meta get to this stage as well. The title on top of it would certainly be a huge victory for both this team as well as the region. So once again, we're seeing them grow quite competitively here at this tournament. Let's see what the future holds for the rest of Meta as well. But BDS, once again, also looking to take charge here. We'll see if they can chain together their 2nd consecutive defense on the basement. Now having it unblocked here. A little bit of a change up to the way they're going to be defending it as well. Of course, we can see the Echo now coming in for them. Still going to be relying on that Pulse for some of the intel to play into here. And then Renshiro also going to bring out the Goyo canisters. They've realized the delay tactic worked out well when they went for the 2nd try on this one, so they're going to double down on that by bringing both the smoke as well as the Goyo canisters.
The only thing they've substituted out really for the Echo is going to be the Cade. And I think the Cade worked quite well in slowing down this hatch pressure. Obviously, Falcons at this point now know, okay, they're probably going to be rocking the Cade. We're going to bring the Thatcher instead. But it still just eats up a little bit of time and forces a little bit more coordination. BDS obviously feeling as though they can get away with a different pick and a little bit more utility there as well. O-Kills just going to be at the top of these main stairs. This is becoming quite the player tendency. Every single round that we've seen Falcons attack onto the basement, O-Kills always gets himself onto the main stairs looking to cut off those rotations, and sometimes is successful in doing so. Going to get the hatch open now into server as Falcons going to be setting themselves up. Renshiro forced out for the time being, grabs a drone on his way out of there, but doesn't want to play too aggressively.
Definitely not something you want to be losing here. We already saw the loss of just 1 or 2 players from BDS led to their inability to try and frag out a trade war versus the Falcons when we came down to a low time to execute. Falcons, though, getting all the hatches they more than likely want open here. Might see a little bit more delay as they may attempt to try and pop open things over here above the Gold Bar's vault as well, and indeed they will, opening that up for themselves as a potential last-ditch effort. They might actually still be using this, too, as we have quite a bit of presence centered around it right now, but O-Kills will be the first to actually venture down into the basement itself, looking for just a little pinched angle, but Shaiko Shaiko comes dashing out, realizing that he's been immobilized by going prone, and as a result, he gets the first kill here of the round for BDS.
Attackers recovered the bomb diffuser.
No one looking to challenge Shaiko there inside of the garage. It's kind of surprising to not see somebody just sent in through garage to deal with that. Obviously, it's getting more increasingly difficult as the rounds go on, with Rafal playing on the Echo this time. You will likely have a Yokai drone inside of garage. We are starting to see Kotos now make that play. There is a bulletproof right at the end, but with nobody dead on BDS, it's unlikely to be currently being watched, especially with the pressure that is being applied on the site. Kotos eventually will be credited with the kill onto Shaiko, and now with garage control, Falcons can look to try and make something happen.
Indeed they will, trying to work their way in. You can see Joker, though, struggling as he's been pincered, sitting at the edge of the site, going to be forced out into it as well. Renshiro to pick one up, but Joker succeeds, only for one, though. BDS trades him back out and leaves Mad Skills alone on an island. He'll try to venture forward into the depths of lockers, but he's got at least 2 players to contend with. First one taken down, 2 more to go, but time also getting low. However, that's not going to stop him. What will instead is going to be a Lems coming back up from the gold bars to shut down things inside of the 1v1 and lock in the round for BDS by just a hair.
Coach, by the way. Mad Skills is the coach. Incredible stuff coming out there. A valiant effort right up until the bitter end. Good adaptation as well from Falcons to say, you know what, Shaiko's a nightmare in garage. Let's go and deal with him. And they did just exactly that, but unluckily, or unfortunately, should I say, for them, it wasn't quite enough. There was still enough players from BDS dug in deep with the Lems there to pick up that final kill. They are successful once again inside of the basement. We likely now move into open area. This was a bit of a weird round last time, Blue. This was the round where Joker just sort of strolled into side and kind of just gave his life away for free. It was a really soft sort of opening exchange. I highly doubt that we see, or at least I hope that we don't see the same again coming in here. And already there's a couple of changes coming in the lineup. We're going to bring out the Thermite instead. We might be about to see something a little bit more structured this time.
Yeah, realistically, it was a bit of a throwaway round from the Falcons ever since we saw that push come in from Joker. And then a second player was also lost due to the aggression of Shaiko coming back out there in an attempt to refrag him too. So Falcons not really stood much of a chance. So we're going to get hopefully a bit of a better picture in terms of how they look to approach this. This time, for the BDS roster, we're not really going to see any huge change-ups. The Lems, of course, will go back onto the Oryx. We can continue to roam around the upstairs extension and support the more hard lock players here as needed. Lems want to be a little bit even more aggressive here with the window peak, but it doesn't look like he's going to get anything from the Falcons. We got no silhouettes on that part of the map, so more likely he'll be backing away from that and will position himself to take up the next fight against some of these more forward plays from the other members of the Falcons. We can see J-Lad hoping to get lucky here with the skylight of our main stairs. Nothing to be found at this point in the round, however, so we'll just chuck in a drone and establish that.
Falcons are being quite cautious in the opening part of the round. Bank's a very easy map to start fall foul to things like spawn peaks on, and the fact that the Lems is going for them shows that BDS are willing to play a little bit more risky here. But Falcons are often keeping themselves very safe indeed. The Lems does manage to just dodge out of the line of sight there. I'm not sure if he took the drone out that was placed on the main stairs, but he's showcasing the Oryx ability fantastically here as he's able to not only destroy the hatch, but also leap up and very quickly make that rotation, eventually picking out J-Lad. So fantastic little play there from Lems. A little bit of parkour around the map to make that one happen.
J-Lad as well, I believe, was the player peeking from Skylight, so we're going to see him get eliminated. Curious to see how he ended up getting himself into the fight, whether it was just direct contention from those stairs or somewhere else. But for the Falcons, regardless, we see them continue to move forward. Now with the majority of the second floor under their control, but obviously a player down from that and missing 1 out of 2 of their hard breaches. Obviously they had the insurance policy in Mad Skills, still bringing the Thermite, so not going to be worse for wear in that just yet. And even better, some of these hatches have already been pre-broken to allow for the rotations for the players on BDS to fall back down. Now that they have that killed, obviously they're not going to be too adventurous beyond getting that 5v4 advantage, so everyone from the side of BDS is locked into the site or an extended position from there on the first floor now, just awaiting the execute to come in from the Falcons, and I think we may be getting it quite soon here as they're starting to build themselves up for the square push. Renshiro, though, shuts down the first of that aggression as Joker gets knocked out as well here, removing the Finka and those last 2 adrenal surges from play.
With no vertical pressure, players like Renshiro can just sit inside of tellers very happily. Kotos has managed to gain a bit of a line of sight here and is looking to see if he can find anything, as we're going to get the wall open now at the bottom of that square. We did miss the impact trick there from Shaiko, so the wall will be opened. But unless they know about Renshiro playing in the corner, it could be very risky indeed. Mad Skills there going to be taken down, and with it, the diffuser cold on the ground, as O-Kills is going to be the last remaining hope here for Falcons inside of this round. 20 seconds left to go, and 4 kills to find. He does have an Ossa shield to hide behind, But equally, BDS know where he is, and they are likely just going to take their hands off their keyboards as they do not need to move here. And Shiro still in a bit of a dangerous position, tucked in behind that corner. As we can see, Okills, he's just looking for anything he can find. 4 seconds left on the clock. Nothing going to happen here. Shaiko to pad his stats with another one to close out that round.
So a 4-2 scoreline will be locked in for the defense as we reach the end of the first half here. Things will look good for them indeed. So we're ready to flip sides, and now it's BDS's turn to show us what they can do on the attack to close out this game. Just the remaining quarter of the rounds left here will need to be picked up, as they need 3 out of the next 6 to be able to take map number 1 and lock in the first of 3 for this series. Keep in mind that, folks. We got a best of 5 for this finals today, so it's going to be quite a lengthy one. That's another factor that the Falcons and to some extent BDS will need to be ready to play into as well here, as they're both, I'm imagining, going to be relatively inexperienced with this length of a game. So this series, to an extent, will turn into that bit of a war of attrition if we end up going the full distance and end up on maps like 4 and 5. These players will need to make sure they can keep their stamina at a good point to be able to play things out for what realistically could become a 4 to 6 hour series here if we go all the way.
Falcons turn to jump onto the defense now. We'll be going downstairs into lockers. Bit of an extension upstairs in tellers as well. So we've got a couple of reinforced panels getting placed out there. They too are going to lock in the Goyo and look to try and delay a little bit of that time and cut off some area. Okills and his trademark Mozzie pick. We've seen him play that operator so many times this series. They have actually left one of the hatches open though. 2 of the hatches open, as we see J-Lad just give the hatch into server a little bit of a punch with the bionic arm. He's going to place some laser gates out inside of open area as well. So quite the extension, realistically, especially given the utility. BDS, I'm not sure that they're bothered. They're bringing the Monty, and that usually speaks to a pretty direct side push.
It's well to see, too, because there's pretty direct contention to this from the Falcons. They've Kotos committed directly against the dirt tunnel hold here, and I'm imagining he's got a little bit of a setup for himself, too. No deployable shields in the lineup, but quite a few nitros, and still can obviously deploy yourself behind the server racks themselves to play this out, but he's realized this might become a little bit worse for wear here, especially if the square control is going to be crunched in, and that other player from the Falcons holding upstairs by electrical is not going to be able to maintain. So you'll see Okills here start to slowly back up closer towards open area as well, and Mad Skill's also still rotating through upstairs. Quite a split defense right now from the Falcons. And you may be right with what you were saying before. BDS with the confidence, and especially with the Montaigne, maybe going directly for the site play, especially if they've realized that there's a pretty big extension from the Falcons on the first and second floors.
Shaiko's going to get a great line of sight in a moment. Alems is already into the site, doing what he does best, but this time on the sledge, picks up one before being immediately traded. Kotos now feeling the heat, pops the Goyo canister. Great play there with the pistol. Rafal pushed straight back. That fire dishing out a huge amount of damage. We are going to see the wall open, and Rafal does manage to keep himself alive for the time being. Shaiko going to fall in the meantime as Mad Skills commands that top floor. So although the opening pick and a bit of a sneaky play from Alems worked out, it came at quite a cost.
Joker still waiting to try and pick off a few of these players as they work their way in, but the first target's going to be the Montaigne thrown out against him, so obviously nothing to be gained there. J-Lad catches this drone works and knows that he's been exposed on the top hatch as well. Will no longer have that obscurity to try and crunch this play with. He's also going to leave the site defense at an even kill 3v3, but obviously BDS kind of down a player to the fact that one's permanently on a shield. Joker shutting it down with the assistance of Mad Skills deeper in the site. Of course, massive credit going to Kotos for that as well, due to the heroic hold he had with the push that came in from Garage. But it all still falls to the Falcons as they bring it within 1 round's grasp of tying it up again, as they bring us up to 3-4.
Every round the Falcons win, the crowd just gets that little bit louder as well, and the chants reignite. Picking up that round downstairs on basement very successfully. Again, bit of a strange push from BDS given what was already open and available to them. They were really focusing in on that Monty pick, and things like the Goyo kind of just worked perfectly to try and counter that sort of a play. Rafal was never given time really to activate inside of that round. As such, we mix things up. We're going to head upstairs into open area. The second attempt here for Falcons on their defensive phase. A couple of 6 picks coming in from BDS as well. We're going to swap out a Thermite for a Fuse and a Monty for a Dokkaebi. So quite the unorthodox lineup coming out here from BDS. No hard breach, potentially a secondary hard breach gadget. But you're really going to be looking toward what Alems can do with Sledge on that vertical pressure, and obviously with the nades as well.
Attackers are moving to defuse the bomb.
All right, so the Falcons looking to try and close things up here with that open area hold, and BDS, of course, bringing pretty much the same lineup we saw them bringing for this assault yesterday as well. Specifically, of course, adding the fuse element into this one for BDS with the secondary exception of having that secondary hard breach utility as well. You consider the fact that we don't necessarily have any direct hard breach for the team to play into. Going to be a very important player, as he'll be crucial for trying to pop open any hatches upstairs if they were reinforced, and potentially that sidewall to lead into the site from lower square too. He's going to be wanting to keep BDS very safe because of that, and he'll also be the planter in this situation. But it's Rafal with the snipe to start the round off. Lems picks one up too. The extended game from the Falcons is going to, unfortunately, just not work out at all here. Both mad skills and O-kills going down within the first minute of play. J-Lad trying to contend against this, but he too taking some heat. Thankfully, Kotos once again saving the day as he rushes out and at least is able to find an exchange against Shaiko and remove the Finka along with her nades from play.
Still a lot of damage to take in the opening parts of the round, and Lionscan going to come in to root these defenders in place. Kotos maybe looking to get aggressive here at the top of square. BDS with a really long angle though onto that double door, so if anyone does cross, it's more than likely going to receive a little bit of damage on the way. Lems can start ripping open some of this floor now and make Tellers and Archives pretty dangerous to be in as a defender, and that should force a little bit of a rotation. J-Lad, he's still looking for this peak. He's still desperate to get himself outside, but I'm not sure he's got an idea as to where the player for BDS is. It was BDS, and they were out there on the rappel, nowhere near the copy window. Lems is still looking to try and work this vertical, and he is going to be rewarded. No say again, Kotos hits him with the reverse headshot there with the Vector. Fast fire rate straight through those beams. It's going to be enough to level things up here, 3 versus 3.
Joker ready to contend against the pressure from Copy, or should we see it come to fold for BDS? And very much might be the case. BDS are looking for a new horizon to push into. Unfortunately, haven't had the best of luck getting it just yet. The play from the top side of things has not panned out for them. We are going to see the first of those 2 can openers get used from BDS. That'll be the explosion you heard off in the distance. Still not able to justify a play into the site just yet. Maybe changing now, though, with Renshiro popping open the main castle barricade that blocks off access to the site, but Kotos again just can't get away from it. Now Joker able to succeed too. BDS will throw in the first of those fuse charges, but it's pretty much a moot point, seeing as he's now the only player left alive. Is going to have a serious lack of intel in terms of where the shots were coming from as well. So not going to have the greatest play capability to clutch this one out in the 1v3. Beautifully done by the Falcons, as Kotos once again saves the day with some heroic mid-round kills that allow the rest of the Falcons to reaggress and shut down the rest of the play coming in from BDS.
The roaming Goyo. Not often that you see it. It's a rare thing, but sometimes it works so beautifully, and that round it worked. A strange round, given that BDS got 2 opening picks. It was looking fantastic. There were 5 versus 3. All of a sudden, Shaiko falls. Then we see another go down. It was a Lems on this vertical angle. Then it's 3 versus 3, and they just lost all sort of acceleration. They lost all the push that they were looking to get away with in that round, and things have now leveled up. Falcons have fought back, got themselves onto a 4-4 scoreline here. Now, if we think back to the first phase when BDS were on the defense, Falcons were actually able to win a round downstairs inside of basement. Falcons also won upstairs attacking into CEO. It is often seen as one of the more attacker-sided sites on this map, and that's likely where Falcons are going to be forced into now as well. BDS, they're going to need to try and break that mold. They need to pick up a round on one of these more mainstay bomb sites if they want to keep in this one.
Like you said, a bit of a weird one for BDS, considering the opening entries just at a serious lack of intel with what Kotos was able to do from the inside of Tellers and Archives. Not sure if they just didn't have enough drone presence on the inside of there or felt it had been cleared out. But ever since he picks up his first kill, players were constantly having flank watch established on top of that. And even then, he's still able to dash out of it 2 more times and pick up additional frags for the team. So BDS will have to look for a way to patch that up on future attacks on that site. More than likely going to see that site at least 1 more time in this game, as the Falcons will unlock it in 2 more rounds, but for the time being, they've got to go to their tertiary here on the 2nd floor, the same one that BDS picked into. We're going to see that same style of delay come out for the Falcons, mainly with the Koyo canisters. It's been working this well for Kotos, so no real reason to switch away from it. And of course, those canisters can still delay just as prominently up here. But away from that, Mad Skills will also make a return to the Echo to try and stem the tide should we see BDS get enough control to go for a swing-in on the rappel, where Falcons may not be able to directly fire back if they've been pushed out of areas like the meeting room and janitor.
We maybe see the Dokubi pick stick this time from Rafal as well. He hovered it in the last round and ended up on the Lion. This time it is going to get locked in along with the ace for BDS, just switching off that Thermite. J-Lad going to be showing us what he can do on the Oryx as well this time, as we often speak of Alem's prowess on this operator, but it looks as though we might have to start adding J-Lad into the list, particularly if he has a couple of successful pushes and plays in round number 9 here. Typical setup on this top floor. There's going to be a lot of Azami Kiba barricades to deal with and a little bit of information exchange, as Rafal's actually got a great drone nice and deep inside of the site.
Lem's ready to try and start nading out the site as well. We don't have a whole lot of utility mitigation either, so anything that they're able to predict in terms of where utility is going to be positioned is probably going to land quite true, as we see Kotos taking just a tad of damage there. Uncertain if he had anything surrounding him. Obviously not going to see a Goyo barricade get taken out. There's a possibility for something else to have been here. Alems as well, pre-firing into it so close to the shots against Kotos, and we do actually see a bullet or two connect onto him at the end of that chain. Another one's going to be found, but it's not enough yet to get the full kill against him, and the same can be said for kills here. BDS so close to these opening frags, they just can't finish it off.
Certainly dealing a bit of chip damage though, and that's only going to help them in the later portion of the round. A lot of these rounds have been quite close and scrappy toward the end. Any damage you can get out now is always good. We are going to see Alems pick up a kill there onto Mad Skills. Beautifully timed Adrenal Surge boost from Shaiko as well, just to give him the extra oomph in that fight. Mad Skills falls on the Echo. Not really the person that you want to be losing first.
Definitely not the case, so now BDS positions himself on the exterior window, wanting to try and fend off any direct challenges that may come in from further down the hallway, leading into J as well as Stock. Needs to get things open here, but J-Lad was not dealt with deeper in the site. Big hop from Joker, but it's going to be caught immediately by Rafal. All for naught there on the run out from him, but he does get the intel on 2 players on Rappel. However, this is pretty default, so more than likely would have already been expected. Great read from BDS, more than likely with a drone somewhere in lobby to read this push and prevent being picked off, as we'll see those players rappel back down into safer corridors. O'Kills ready to fend off that pressure coming in from top square 2, but Shaiko and the rest of BDS may not need it at this point. They have the breaches, they have the sight lines, so they can more than likely take the risk on moving in without that concern. They also have the rappelled angles to work with, and here we go. BDS already halfway through the plant. J-Lad making a mad dash to the back of square, but Shaiko already making quick work of one of his teammates. BDS, the planter, will be taken down, and O'Kills also going to be able to grab one from his new position on the inside of meeting. Evens out the player count into a 2v2. And we'll also see both the Falcons players get back the immediate area, where obviously we have the diffuser down on the ground. O'Kills will venture toward this, try to tap on it. Both these players are low. They can't fight forever. J-Lad will make the hop out. He'll go down to Rafal. And now this leaves O'Kills in a very, very tough scenario. Still gets the first of 2 needed, but that second one out on Rappel is going to be so tough. This is all a mind game. He'll get himself off of that counter defuse first. The next one, no, needs to stick, and he's got just enough time to go back to it. What a huge clutch from O'Kills, as Falcons are going to snatch this round right out of the hands of BDS.
That hurts if you are a BDS fan or indeed a BDS player. That is not a situation you want to be losing like that. A fantastic play from O'Kills, picking up all the kills required and still having enough time. Rafal is likely going to feel a little bit responsible for that one. It is a fine, fine art playing a post plant and playing a post planted diffuser like that. It all is about your bottle. It all is about your metal. Rafal's metal was tested. A shame as well, because he picked up 2 great kills on runouts. Two kills that were flying out of windows, trying to take him down. He was there, ready and waiting. These guys were dead before they'd even hit the ground. But they hadn't accounted for O'Kills.
Yep, beautifully played either way from the Falcons, specifically for O-Kills there. Knew he had to try and go for a bit of a mind game play, fake him out with that first counter defuse, had to go back to it, I think, a second time as well to get him to peek one more time. Obviously, you're on the other end of that. BDS, I don't think, had any preset drones on the inside of there, so would have had no idea when he was getting on and off of that, just purely based on audio cues. And unfortunately, he just goes a bit too adventurous there on that final peek. Didn't even really want to commit to it, but was just a bit too far out as the O-Kills can see him from just on the inside of that window, and he shuts him down, giving him the clutch with quite literally just enough time. He gets onto that counter fuse with probably half a second or less of additional excess there, to where he would have run out of time. As mind you, you need at least 7 seconds if you're newer to Siege on that clock there to be able to successfully pull off the counter defuse.
Mad Skills just keeping an eye out over onto that main rappel. He did die there a couple of rounds ago. I think it was BDS that was maybe credited with that one. But we've seen a lot of nice one-taps from Mad Skills so far this tournament. I wouldn't mind seeing another couple here. It looks as though BDS are more than aware of these games and they're not looking to make any early mistakes inside of this round. They are now in a situation where they have to be flawless on these remaining sites, because that third choice bomb site, CEO upstairs, is a site as an attacker that you are expected to win. The fact that BDS did not win in there means that, well, basement, that's been going the way of the defenders. Sure, Falcons have picked up one round on their own attack, but BDS up until this point have been unsuccessful. So they're going to need to break the mold here and pick up some rounds in sites they have previously lost.
Not a great sight to see as well, considering that this was, generally speaking, the stronger part of the game from BDS and previous parts of the tournament. This attacking side has been oftentimes what we've been talking about for BDS, specifically for Alems. Has just not been able to make the impact so far. The real highlight's been Shaiko, as once again he strikes true, knocking out Mad Skills as well, taking the Legion out from play only about halfway through the round, so limiting the amount of those goo mines that would have gone down. Didn't really seem like that was the main point for Mad Skills, so he's not going to be losing too much sleep over that. His job was done in terms of wasting time, and now the rest of the squad needs to pick up pace down below.
Joker inside of main lobby. I'm not sure if Shaiko knows he's there. He does have a ping to work with. Is he going to be able to get the heads up? Yes, he is. 2 kills on the round for Shaiko. All you do is give him a ping, and he's like a guided missile, Blue. He just goes in and picks it up for free. No questions asked. There's a little bit of presence inside of Garage now as well, and I think that's probably going to be a Lems that's credited with the kill over onto Kotos. O-Kills knows that someone's sitting there behind the ambulance and needs to try and do something about it. We've seen a good portion of the round, but there are only 2 Falcons players remaining, and they're not really the 2 that you look to for a clutch, and a Rooney with a DMR isn't the most ideal, but say that, J-Lad's going to make it work anyway. He takes Shaiko down on those main stairs. Nice headshot. BDS is looking to get a plant in, though, and confirm this round as Renshiro eventually puts an end there to J-Lad. O-Kills is going to find one to pad his stats, but was it worth it? The diffuser's already been planted. BDS, a plant and a kill to close things out. BDS looking much better there on the basement.
Might just be one of those scenarios where O-Kill's like, yeah, this round's pretty much over. I'm just going to try and pad the stats, keep myself in a nice...
He's got to keep ahead of Shaiko. He's got to do his best, man.
Exactly that. So might have just been one of those scenarios there for him as he saw the easier kill in Garage and at least wanted to get that confirmation on the 1-for-1. But Shaiko indeed trying to keep pace ahead of O-Kills at this point. He's ahead of him in this game by 5 kills. Mind you, I think he's about 28 or so behind at the beginning of this game. So we need to definitely keep a bit more pacing than that if he wants to try and catch them before the end of this series. For the Falcons, though, now tied up once again at 5-5. They're actually going to redo this. Despite the fairly one-sided nature of how that last round played out, they'll head into it for one more trial. And we've got a very interesting pick for Kotos. He's feeling the confidence now. He's been promoted to Doc.
Is that a promotion?
I don't know.
I mean, it's something,
I'm just going with the saying, you know?
Maybe that's the kind of promotion that you think you want and you don't really want it.
I mean, for a basement site,
Unless Kotos is just going to fly himself out of main door. It's always a good strategy. Pick the dock, get a decent site, juice yourself up, fly out the main door and see if there's anything that you can make happen. Doesn't look as though that's going to be happening, though, due to his positioning right now. Would like to see some early aggression here, though. Is he actually getting himself hidden there inside of open? I think he's maybe lying under a desk or something like that, just looking to make something happen. Falcons are more than happy to meet BDS in the field as well. I think that's something that I noticed in the last round. They're not bothered about the fact that this is a great turtle site and you can just defend it. They're like, yeah, we're going to get out there, we'll play around the map and we'll see if there's anything that we can pick up before dropping back. And if we get back, great. If we don't get back, as long as we wasted some time and maybe got a kill, then that's going to be seen as a win in our book.
The rest of BDS can begin to take some of their first steps onto the interior of the building, and their first frag as well. 2 ways as they'll knock out J-Lad with a frag grenade. Taking him down, eliminates the Theorini. Obviously the laser gate still will stay in place. No utility lost here, but at the same time, that won't be true for our attackers as Okill gets the exchange out against Shaiko and removes all that very useful attacker-sided utility. Mad Skills also going to be able to find what I assume is a very smooth one-tap to go out against Renshiro. Both of the Carbon operators knocked out now as the Lion also down, and another push by Spiral to take down Alems as well. Mad Skills taking no prisoners here on this extended hold. Way more success in this avenue this time for the Falcons.
Mad Skills owns top floor, and you better believe it. You can't even go into bottom floor. He's going to have something to say about it. Picked up 2 great kills there. BDS already left in the mud here. 2 versus 4. Sure, they've got a minute and a half, but they've got 2 hard breaches left. You're not looking to the hard breaches typically for a boatload of frags. Let's see how Rafal and Brede choose to buddy up and finish this one out. Brede just going to be pushing in through tunnel, going to be greeted immediately with a Kiba barricade. Information is going to be available for them should they want it, but it looks as though they're just going to be going for little picks here and there. You got a glimpse there onto the Legion. Didn't manage to land the finishing blow though. With one of the walls, I think both of the walls actually left soft. It's actually going to be very difficult to breach, and therefore you are likely just going to be forced to use that main door. Mad Skills gets himself juiced up there by the dock, just ready for the next engagement. Brede is just going to be playing this one fairly patiently.
BDS, unfortunately, not much else they can do in this scenario. They know that the Falcons want to play aggressively, as we've just seen with Joker taking a risk despite things being down to a 4v2. Brede finally given his window of opportunity against Okills, but is not going to be able to successfully leverage the kill. And even worse, obviously, we're going to see those Kiba barricades go out and allow for Okills to rotate himself back into a safer position. He gets a little bit of that HP back as well. Here's Kotos uses the last of his charges to boost up his teammates and also send Mad Skills back up to above full HP. Brede just hunting for frags at this point, trying to pick up the best that he can. He's going to see this push come back out against him from top blue. There's a sending frag, as unfortunately not a whole lot else he's going to be able to do with only 5 seconds left. The round is locked in for the Falcons, and Mulligan another down against Okills. Can't confirm it's no credit there as the Falcons get to map point first. Falcons
looking very good on bank indeed. Are they going to put our analysts to shame, Blue? Both of our analysts, Fresh and Tristan.
And to be fair to them, I thought this one would go towards BDS's way as well.
I mean, they said the immortal words, didn't they? They said BDS takes it. And we all know what happens when that gets said. So there's still chance. Obviously, there's still chance for BDS to force an overtime here. Falcons sitting on map point here for our first map inside of the best of 5. Already we're getting treated. The potential of overtime in map number 1. This could be a very long evening if all of these maps go the same and we see all 15 rounds in every single one.
Grab some stacks, grab some drinks. Maybe not now, maybe we'll wait like 5-10 minutes as we still have the rest of this map to go, but still, lock in, ladies and gentlemen, as we are indeed looking at potentially a very, very long series here. The Falcons rebounding nicely. BDS as well getting some revenge thrown at them for yesterday's game. We saw them be able to come back from 2-4 deficits 2 times in a row to be able to knock out their opponents in 2-0 fashion. Now it's them that's potentially going to have to deal with that comeback, because it's the Falcons that have come back from that very same scoreline. They're about to end it if they can lock in just one more round. As you said, though, BDS also with the capability to send us to overtime if they can trade it back out. So let's see if they can do so on what could be the last hold from the Falcons on this map. It'll be an open area hold from them. A few change-ups to the lineup as well. Okills, of course, is still going to be sticking onto the Azami. Aside from that, we'll see Kotos go over to a new operator. He's finally ditched away and is going to pick up the Thunderbird here to give that team that extra aggressive capability, especially inside. Oh no, hold on, I gotta interrupt myself because here comes the play. They know what's happening though. Joker's able to fend off the first bit of it, but the rest of it's traded out. Renshiro and BDS picking up response kills and now establishing aggressive positioning here, but they're gonna be smart about this. They hold themselves. They know the rotates are gonna come in, but Kotos still able to strike true regardless, knocking out Renshiro inside of Electrical. How does the rest of the team work their way back into as they still lost the site, and the plant is going down. Alems with another pickup as well, but Okill steals one away from up on top. Won't interrupt the plant though. Brede confirms that, and now we're into a 2v2 post plant as the rest of the Falcons try to find a way to get themselves back into the fight.
This is terrifying on either side. 35 seconds left to go. Kotos, he doesn't know that Brede's immediately to his right. Okill's going for a little bit of a rotation here. Could look to try and use some vertical. Hail Mary C4 going to go out, but it's not going to do anything other than give away Kotos' information and location here. is going to get a couple of pre-fire shots out there, but it looks as though BDS know exactly where he is. Bride is locked in. He's not wanting to move. Alems finds one. Bride the second. The rush round from BDS pays off against all odds.
Nicely done from BDS, able to give them the winning strategy there. Close things out for themselves. Save the day, send us to that first map overtime, and keep things competitive inside of this series. They've had their own series of struggles, but they've still kept up with pacing, and are going to look to try and claim this first map for themselves. As we go into overtime now, we'll see the sides in just a moment here. Oftentimes, obviously going to be quite influential, but I'll be honest, we've seen this be traded out quite evenly. The 4-2s for both sides. Now we'll have to see who brings us a stronger performance inside of overtime.
I must admit, I panicked when I saw BDS go for the rush. I really, really panicked indeed when I saw BDS just all Hail Mary through in from copy window. A rush on a match point? It's a bold strategy. It really is.
I mean, when you got nothing else, that's certain.
You think BDS must have something else.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they've got to have loads.
But at the same time, they know for a fact that the Falcons have been playing these hyper-extended plays, especially on open area as well.
Yeah.
Know that they're generally not going to have more than like 2 or maybe 3 players sitting in the actual site at the beginning. And when you're on open, which has those direct access points, especially from copy window to the outside of the map, that's probably the best site where you can take that opportunity. So beautifully played from BDS's in-game strategy department to make that type of decision. That ends up working out beautifully for them.
BDS are going to get attack on the overtime. It's not been their most favored side up until this point. Sometimes we do see that shift as we get into an OT though. Obviously they've had 6 rounds prior to this on the attack. They've had plenty of time to get warmed up on there. They are going to be attacking into the basement and once again going for this Monty play. Now, we didn't really see the Monty play work out too well previously. BDS have been unsuccessful attacking downstairs. Oakhills just going to go for a little quick swing, finds the Monty almost immediately. But with the hatch open into server, he's really relying on his teammates above to keep good control because as soon as that hatch falls into the hands of BDS, it's going to be very difficult for him to play there. And already he's getting pushed out of server and back further into the site as 2 BDS players are allowed to rotate through.
Tries to go for a chip headshot or 2 on the way out for a few of those other members of BDS. He's going to set up a bit of a tricky key, but wants to play out against it as well, as I believe they know that at least one player ventured towards the top of blue. No sign of a fallback from that player anytime soon, though. They have a flank overwatch established, but won't work out too well. Alems ends up getting taken down by J-Lad. Joker looking to try and contribute from the bottom portion. The archive stairs looking for his own way to hop into this, and it's just all going towards the Falcons right now. Shaiko and Bride are all that's left. The Montaigne has also been lost this early on in the round here. So how exactly do BDS get back in it? Well, that's not the way. Shaiko getting fended off as Mad Skills continues to successfully harass from the second floor, and Joker still down below in the depths, fends off the last of the pressure coming in from server.
You can't challenge Mad Skills on the Legion. I'm just going to go out there and say, if you see a Mad Skills on the Legion, run the other way because that guy's an absolute demon. Crowd getting plenty loud enough now for the Falcons as well. So they're going to be on map point again here. Give BDS a chance to try and take this to all the way. Maximum overtime. Again, a strange push from BDS, really relying on that Monty player that didn't work in round number 1. No intention of really taking that top floor control and dealing with the hatch. You can't just flood people into server if the hatch is going to be open. And then you're relying on your attackers and you're relying on your teammates to then take that top floor control. When you've got 3 people tied up in server, it's often not enough. That's exactly what we saw. BDS going to go downstairs now to see if they can make their stand down here. They have lost a round previously on the defense on this side, but this lineup looks extremely difficult to go up against. They're bringing the Goyo, they've got the Echo, got the Pulse, and of course that Smoked. Really dish out a lot of that denial.
You can see the local crowd getting hyped out there. Obviously, their local team about to take the first map out of one of the best and brightest that at least the EU region has to offer us here in Siege. Lots of things to be excited about, but they still need that one final round. Let's see if they can get it. As indeed, we go back into another basement defense from the players on BDS, going to obviously center themselves much more heavily into their basement positions, as we can see the extended game on the last round. Play out too well for the Falcons. Even so, BDS has previously had success to a much better degree inside of regulation by playing things a bit closer to the chest on this site, so they're indeed now double down on that inside of their final round on it, as of course they'll have the second attacking round coming up after this with the switching sides every round here in overtime. Falcons taking their time though with the early clear. They're a little bit worried about BDS maybe trying to do something a bit chaotic, especially considering what happened at the tail end of regulation, so they're going to be very, very cognizant in their clear of the second and probably the first floor as well before they begin looking for ways to venture down into the depths.
Probably a good time to bring up that we don't have unlimited overtime.
True.
For anyone that's used to the major format, sometimes grand final games do have unlimited overtime. We are just going to be playing straight regulation here. First to 8 inside of a max overtime situation. Which is probably fortunate, because this could go on for a very long time if we did have unlimited overtime, given that there's not a great deal separating these two right now. Falcons looking to try and take this one a little bit slower than they have done previously, as are BDS, of course. We haven't seen that same aggressive roam, really, from a Lems. Lems is instead going to be in and around the side there, looking to make use of Oryx any which way he can, and not putting himself out there, risking that early pick.
I can still believe that there's a Cade in play here somewhere as well, as evident by that Thatcher EMP grenade that goes out, worried about seeing those get tricked away. Not going to end up happening, though. Not going to see any real mitigation for that whatsoever brought in by the players on BDS, so Falcons will have no issue opening up the hatchwork. Immediately, Mad Skills goes to work here, looking for anyone that might dare to peek out against it. He's going to go a little bit further to the right to be able to find that player from BDS holding into the corner just by gold bars, but they also fall back when Mad Skills finally peeks into it. Ranchiro would have been the one to potentially challenge against that a little bit further down the hallway. We have the pulse being played by Shaiko, ready to potentially hop into the fray as well, but it's going to be Ranchiro to strike first, catching J-Lad and eliminating the ace from the attackers here as they look for ways to move down, but so far unsuccessful in that, as BDS is holding strong with this very, very solid bunker setup.
25 seconds left to go is not a great deal of time here. Joker going to make his play in through Garage. A recipe for success that the Falcons have already seen today. Taking out Shaiko takes out a huge linchpin in this entire defense. His kills now do start to trade, but Alems is going to be there to fight back, keeping his team in it, but only just, as Mad Skills is going to be down. Joker finished off as well. BDS hold firm downstairs, and we're going all the way.
All the way to our 15th and final round of play for map number 1. BDS has managed to take us that far, but can they indeed get the lock-in? This is a map that they'll definitely want to try and take for themselves as well, considering their performance on some of the other maps throughout the course of this series. It'll come down to the wire, though, and the Falcons still going to remain composed, as they'll thankfully be able to go back onto a defensive round. But where they take it from here, though, they had that clutch success with the second floor hold, but more than likely going to want to probably rely on their open area hold, as we saw much more consistent results coming out from that over the course of the previous play. Let's get into it, though, and see where exactly they've gone, as this is it. The final round between these two teams for Bank, and indeed, they have selected the open area play where they have that freedom to get aggressive, to roam around a bit more. He'll have to watch out, of course, because BDS went for the rush play the last time this was selected, and it worked out well for them. So Falcons are more likely to be keeping a close eye on that and at least keep some of this pressure a bit closer to the site for the first 30 seconds or so while they wait to see what the opening action will be from BDS.
I'm not sure if I can take it if BDS go for the rush again. I think it's far too dangerous to risk a rush on an overtime match point, but you never know, they may just go for it. Rafal still fairly unsure as to what he wants to pick onto, and it looks as though he's going to take up the hard breach mantle away from Brede, as Brede switches over onto the Zafir. Rafal the Hibana. They were threatening a Dokkaebi, they were threatening a Lion, but they have thought better of it. They've gone for something a little bit more traditional. Ranchiro still rocking his fuse pick here, which admittedly we haven't really seen come to all that much just yet.
Sure, at least going to establish this crossfire, going deeper into Copier, and of course open area through that, going directly through break room. That will will also find from the top of one of the skylights here a little bit of it as well, but really nothing to write home about, at least initially. So we'll begin to pop open some of these barricades to begin hunting down the extended game, and indeed we'll see a much more composed BDS this round compared to the previous assault on this site. To be hunting down some of the more aggressively leaned members of the Falcons here, but doesn't have great intel into where exactly they position themselves just yet. They're a little out of reach too, focusing mainly on that elevator hold, which we're going to see Rafal open up a window of access to now.
Launching drone.
From the garage side, repel. They'll use the drone to reconfirm if this player trying to rotate out and go somewhere else. So also give Lems the confidence he needs to swing in. They've been able to isolate out some of the play from Mad Skills, and I believe the elevator player has also given things up here. They'll fall down through the hatch back down to the next floor below and give BDS that second story control that they need.
Bit of a belt and braces approach here from BDS. Lem's going to be credited with the first kill in this round, taking 0 kills down. Shaiko just looking to push himself down these main stairs. Gives him an adrenal surge just to give him a little bit of a boost as Mad Skills will drop into the basement. Maybe looks for a rotation up those main stairs, but of course Shaiko is going to be playing there. Nade going to get thrown on out and will connect onto Joker. Shaiko picks up a second, takes down Kotos, and a third! Shaiko's going nuclear here! Mad Skills going to be the only defender left alive. He's ripping down the castle barricade, trying to get himself back into sight, but he's 1 versus 5. There's a whole minute on the clock.
Gonna try to go adventurous here as he rotates around, has hot pings onto a few players. BDS, you can see them trying to make it panic, but no, it's not gonna work out. Renshiro moves forward, closes things down, and BDS are able to recover as things look scary for a few moments there, but they recenter, they rush their way, quite literally, into overtime, and then are able to close things out. After dropping the first round in OT, they rebound with the next 2 and lock in the first of 3 needed to be victorious here in the grand final of Gamers8.
BDS really showing that experience there inside of that game, not looking to let anything slip. As soon as they needed to, they put on that gas. They were able to come back there on what was quite a difficult bank.
Map number 1 has closed down, but let's head back down to our desks, see what they think of the map, and get ourselves ready as map number 2 is coming up right around the corner.
Thank you very much, Blue and X, and yet it's happened. BDS to take it to Max OT and take map number 1 on bank. Closer and closer. 2 more map wins, and they'll be running away with the rest of that bank. This is the Gold Vault itself. They're able to take this first map. We're here back on the desk to break things down for you. Milosh. With me are Jack and Tristan. Let's take a look at some highlights for the series brought to you by Aramco, one of our many sponsors at Gamers8. And gentlemen, just want to ask you, how on edge was everybody during this game?
Flip-flopped a few ways, didn't it? It was, it was looking pretty comfortable for BDS after the first half, the 4-2 defense split, and then suddenly out of nowhere, Falcons strung quite a lot of rounds back together. You're seeing a rush on match point to bring it to overtime, and then BDS just in the end on that very last round. Who else? Shaiko getting a 4K to win it. Had everything.
Shaiko is just that guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
He, like, at this event, and especially in the last EUL stage, he seriously is just that guy. When you needed him so badly to perform, to make a case for that MVP, to catch up for the most kills, that's what he does. He just does it. He gets the 4K in the last round, and we were speaking about it before the map. Do you get rid of the Nook or do you get rid of the Finker? I don't think Falcons made the wrong decision, but they just played against probably the best fragger in the world right now.
I mean, when we saw those bans, because we're all sitting together talking about it, the Nook and the Valkyrie were the perfect bans for Falcons to go for. And honestly, if you're looking at the last round, it could have gone either way and ended in the Falcons side, but then Shaiko happened.
Yeah, I think the result, when you look back and see the BDS won the map, is expected. The performance certainly isn't, and I think that's a big testament to Falcons in particular. We sit back and we say, they've done their research on this team. They've done the research with the bands, the map bands, the operator bands, how they wanted to play. And I actually think they're going to come away thinking we maybe should have won that. I think particularly on their attacks when they were attacking the basement site, the locker site, where they chose a couple of times to push deep and play for the kills when they could have had the plant. And I think, just a couple of small decisions in rounds that go a different way, Falcons are winning that in regulation.
I think that little bit of experience for them for the downstairs attacks is kind of what cost them. There were a couple of things, though, that we did like about those downstairs attacks, where they started to focus on Shaiko, who was playing Pulse in Garage, which is an incredibly difficult position to play as Pulse. It's just that he's Shaiko, that's why he's there, because he's probably the only guy that can make it happen. But yeah, you're absolutely right, Fresh. I don't think they'll be too disappointed about that. They'll be upset that they've not won, but seeing that it went to bank straight away, they'll be thinking, well, it's not a map that we play too much. It's low preference. BDS have won on it before. We got the map bans right. We got the operator bans right. It's just a shame they couldn't see it out, and I think they will be kicking themselves on that first attacking half.
Yeah, no, that was going to be my point, actually, is it's a very low preference map for them. It's their 8th preference out of 9 of the total map pool. They've had to go to it because of the way the best of 5s work. There was only upsides going to that map, even if they lost it. There's a lot of confidence They've pushed BDS all the way to 15 rounds. Sure, it didn't go their way. It could have gone their way. A bit of disappointment, but not, you know, not too bad.
And if you're looking at it, here's go. Our scoreboard brought to you by STC, 8-7 BDS versus Falcons. Alems continues on his streak of success in the tournament, Fresh.
He's not been spoke about enough, I don't think. We've obviously spoke about Shaiko, and again Shaiko in that last round. You know, he makes the things happen, he's the round winner. But Alems, even when he was target banned, he's unleashed. You know, he was a player that through stage 1, stage 2 of this year has took on a lot more responsibility, but has basically kind of restricted himself in his personal performance. And they've come out to this tournament and they've basically unleashed him. They've said, play what you feel, play a little bit lurky, you know, play in that backstab position. There was one round where we saw him just in sight, playing very solo and for himself. And statistically and impact-wise, he's having a massive impact.
On Sledge as well. Like you said, he was target banned. He didn't have to get to go for the crutch of being completely silent or being a free speed or having a super high fire rate gun. He just went and did it, makes smart plays, shoots people in the back. I think his game sense, being a player who's traditionally IGL'd, moving him onto that kind of role, I think has been perfect for him this event. Whether we continue to see it or it's just a streak of amazing performances from him, we're yet to see. But it's not just that he's lurking, he's shooting people in the back, he's constantly getting entry kills. I think he's up there right now with Shaiko for entries on BDS, which is something we've never seen.
It's pretty impressive for your IGL to also be top of your team in terms of entry kills, also when it's definitely not their position to be doing it. But hey, that's the excitement that we're looking for and the quality of game from BDS. Thank you so much, gentlemen. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue on with our best of 5 series. Villa is up next. We'll see you in a minute.
عايز تترجم راب؟ تعالى لي. ملوك الصين دي انا ملخصه في سطور، بس مين يقرا؟ فاهم؟ كلام الشارع ده انا هرشه كل المجال حبايبي. بروز.
وانا كاكازوكو مصدع ايه القي نظره لو على الحلاوه عندي كاستر والاسم
عفرت يا عفرت، هتفضل معفرتها ولا ايه يا برو؟
انت مين يا هو ازاي ده دخل هنا يا جدعان؟
نكسر الدنيا الاول وبعدين نتكلم، نعيد من الاول.
لا 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 مش مسجل.
اخواتي
عشان فاهمين السين، سبوتيفاي عمل لك بلاي ليست الاقوى راب مصري، اسمع ملوك السين ببلاش.
Welcome back, friends, to the analyst desk. We're one up for BDS, our European squad versus Falcons, the hometown Saudi heroes, here live in Riyadh at Gamers8, and we continue on with our action. I'm Elish, your host. With me are Twister and Tristan. Now, Fresh has gone into the backstage for just a moment. Don't you worry about it, but we got more to break down. Villa is map number 2, and it's on Falcons to play for the retake here, Twister.
This map will be probably the most insane map that we'll see on this entire series. Villa being played yesterday for Falcons, it was the map that actually did they make to this finals. So probably with the abilities that they could come back on this map, it showed that they are very comfortable on playing any style on this way.
Yeah, I'd say as well, sort of a win condition for them on Villa here. We've got to see O-Kills go crazy again, because every single time we've seen him on Villa, this guy has been like insanely good. We need to see it again. Shaiko outshone him last map, but I'm sure he won't let that hit him too much, and he's going to bounce straight back.
Now, one thing that BDS have to consider is the fact that they're starting defense on Villa, which we've known is usually the comfortable side, but it's not been out of the ordinary to see, you know, an even half, a 3-3 for defense attack, or maximum of 4-2 for defense. Doesn't seem like it's the same way 5-1 in the past like it was. But gonna have to cut myself off here because our game is set, so Tristan Twister will be back to break things down right after. We got John and X. It's Jolly on the other side of this camera.
It's an interesting duo name for us. We'll have to see if that sticks. But welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Getting ready to head into map number 2 of this series on Villa. Now, BDS just barely able to bring things back under their own control at the tail end of Bank. So they lead this 1-0. Will they be able to keep it that way, going on to arguably a more chaotic map, especially for the Falcons in their extended game on the defense in Villa?
I'm quite a fan of Jolly.
Comes off the tongue nicely.
It comes. I'm surprised it's taken this long, really, for me. I'm almost a little bit disappointed now, knowing that he had that one in the locker. Maybe he was saving it for Grand Finals Day, because that is exactly where we are. We're about to head into map number 2 now. Map, of course, will be Villa, a map that Falcons have really proved themselves on throughout the entirety of Gamers8. Let's see how they fare here now. Fighting from 1 map behind. Now, it is a best-of-5 Grand Finals with no map advantage, so it's a very level playing field here. BDS narrowly took Bank. It took every single round almost to decide who was going to be winning over on Bank. And here we jump into Villa. Ying getting removed there. Falcons, they're still going to go with the Nook ban. Now, I don't think the Nook ban necessarily has as much value on a map like Villa. There's still opportunities for LMs to really cause havoc on that operator, but not so much as other maps inside of the pool. But they're not going to waste any time banning away that Valkyrie from Shaiko. I would dare say that they are going to be 2 staple bans throughout all of these maps.
And more than likely going to be looking at the same thing overall, as I believe, yep, indeed, we will get the mirror once again. So quite literally, the reflective ban from map number 1 here, as we get the same exact thing for the second time in a row. Good possibility that actually stays the case throughout the further maps, too. We'll have to see if we end up seeing BDS close in on this map. Maybe the Falcons will take what you're saying to heart and start to second guess the Nook ban. The Valkyrie, though, will more than likely stay in play as long as we go to maps where she can be quite useful. So let's get ourselves into round number 1. As it's going to be BDS on the attack, Falcons to start out on the defense.
There's got to be a little bit of value as well for Falcons starting off on the defense, especially after with the way that map 1 went. They are going to want that more comfortable side to really try and give themselves an easy ride into things.
Oh, it's actually the other way around.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, BDS get the comfortable side.
The stage lied to us.
Oh dear, oh dear. Well, hopefully it's right. I'm sure it is. But BDS starting things off on the defense here, so they get the benefit of the slightly more comfortable side. Shaiko going to be rocking the Warden pick as well. It's not all the time that we see the Warden come out. It's something that certainly LATAM teams are very quick to draw for if they feel like the stun pressure is becoming a little bit too much. Often see players like Palu picking onto a Warden if the occasion calls for it, but this time it is going to be Shaiko. Still going to be rocking that very friendly and familiar MPX, I imagine. Obviously shares the same gun as Valkyrie.
We do still see quite a bit of use cases for Warden, especially on a site like this too, where you can oftentimes see that flash dump execute come in. He'll be able to get himself into the way of that quite easily. Deployable shield position somewhere, more than likely going to see that in the usual spot over by the main stairs hold, however, so may not be able to be too useful on the inside of the actual execute, but we'll follow that up a little bit later on into the round here as we have the Falcons making their first bout forward, obviously taking control of just Art Studio, and across from that having access to the lower main stairs landing as well. They are going to be a little cautious though. They can see these top downs that were opened up earlier in the round from BDS, and they're going to be watching out for them to make sure they don't lose anyone early on, especially considering the damage had already been done to Shaiko, potentially adventuring towards one of those openings and coming out of the losing end of a fight there. He'll be down at about 20 HP as a result of that.
I'm not sure if he got a caught on some unfortunate time in walking past a window or something like that as it was getting pre-fired open. At least he's managed to keep himself alive for the time being. Renshiro going to be operating in and around the main stairs. He's got plenty of utilities to keep himself going as well. A couple of magnets, bulletproof shield. He's got Malusi Banshee knocking around there as well to really assist him on that hold. Falcons really ought to be looking for a lot of vertical nades, and I imagine that's what we're going to get to eventually once the information has been gathered. They do have plenty of nades in pocket. We're going to see Okills go for one there. Didn't see the utility that it got. It certainly didn't deal any damage. Joker laid ready as well, looking for a nade. He does have a couple of holes to play with, so could as well like throw one through the gaps. The first kill is going to go on to Alems. He takes J-Lad down. Joker still attempting these vertical nades. He's going to deal a little bit of damage there. They are going to go for quite a quick push here as they do remove the Banshee and look to charge up those main stairs.
Joker able to take a nice contest here. Nearly gets himself a second against the Lems as well. The first one obviously successful to knock out Renshiro. Okills here trying to contend back against the main stairs play as well. Now they've been able to clear that back out. Having Shaiko downed also, but not going to be able to get the confirmation off onto him just yet. Potential possibility for him to get res, but more than likely not going to happen anymore. He's off on an island here, and I think his teammates realize that that potential nade was going to be coming from below at any moment, so they don't even try to go for the pickup against him here. Another pickup going to be found from Joker as he finishes off that kill he was looking for earlier against Alems. Nicely controlled by him on this avenue. He'll continue to push forward now with full control over the bar. That should be a plant opportunity for Kotos if he wants to come in and take the position behind the bar itself. Might not even need to though, as Kotos is fragging out right now. He's found Rafal. Everything has fallen to BDS here. He gets one off the SMG 11 at least, but 3 more players to go. He can also try to delay this to the timer, but more than likely not so anymore. Kotos finally committing himself to the interior for the plant. BDS will not have an angle to stop him, and the timer will start ticking in the other direction. However, BDS had a hope for a moment there, but ultimately just going to be traded out after he kills the planter. The Falcons take solid control over round number 1.
Slow and steady wins the race there for Falcons. They took their time taking that main stairs control, and it really came down to a burst of aggression in and around the mid-round to really dominate that area. Fantastic use of the nades from below as well, making short work of players like Shaiko and really removing the ability to sit in sight for some of those defenders. Falcons coming away with a nice early round there on this attacking side. Is it going to be enough to force the site change though? BDS are in fact going to move over to Trophy and Statuary, opting against that Aviator and Games Room hold and going to stick to their rotation.
Falcons definitely some consistency to start out of the map here. BDS unfortunately is not able to level their aggression up to any conceivable point where they were able to deal damage against the Falcons. Just way too conjoined as a unit, which is a bit of a far cry from what we had generally been tending to see on the previous map. So good to see that extra bit of variety coming out for the Falcons here right at the start of the second map. We'll have to see how this continues to evolve as well. They will have to split themselves up a bit, as obviously there's going to be a bit of an extension deployed, a bit more heavily this time by BDS. You can see Renshiro reinforcing his own positions down here to play around the kitchen, and probably Astra a little bit as well to waste out that initial clear time from the Falcons.
Joker going to be getting himself into position here, looking for that clear through the Aviator and Games side. Bit of upside down repel action from Okills as well, getting himself onto Astro. We do have the Nomad in play this time as well, so Koto is likely going to look to try and cut off some of those rotations. It can be a very difficult angle to play on the Astro window. Not an easy angle to directly challenge onto. You're often dealing with players that have got C4s inside of Astronomy or behind the desk. And as such, O'Kill is just going to take his time working that angle. Shaiko could look for some aggression here, though. He's got himself deep into the window. Ooh. Great shot from Shaiko. Barely got fully ADS before he rips off the head.
Beautiful trace from Shaiko, too. You could see it there. Had perfect prediction of the movement from that Falcons player. So Koto's not even going to know what hit him. As the second he peeks out against it, he swung down to the ground via headshot. The Falcons now with the deficit, they'll have to make up for it. J-Lad going to try to chuck a nade in, see if meet with anything, just to take out some utility, I do believe, though. Waiting out on the other side of the hop in here for the connector. Away from that, it's actually going to be a bit open for the taking if he'd like to go for it here, but would have to watch out for the crossfire from BDS and a few of the other players if he wanted to venture further past that window's opening. You can see Madskill still clearing things out over here towards the library portion of the first floor, and oh no, that's way too bold of a play here from O'Kills. Tries to go directly for the hop-in on walk-in. Shaiko, more than ready for that challenge, shuts down a second member of the Falcons roster now, leaving it up to J-Lad, Madskills, and Joker.
Shaiko is making it look easy to keep control of Master Bedroom there. He's picked himself up 2 great kills. Madskill's going to get himself in below, into the kitchen, gets a glimpse there. Shaiko does eventually get shut down up on that top floor, but Madskills knows there's someone inside of kitchen with him and is instead just going to hightail it straight up these astronomy stairs and collect himself another. Falcons, they've got themselves into the 2 versus 2, but it doesn't look no. Madskills knows it doesn't matter. Still gets the shutdown onto a Lems. Rafal now trying to come up these Astro stairs. Madskills super low. Only 1 shot would be required to shut him down. Gets a glimpse of Joker as he crosses on through. Locked into the 1 versus 1 here. Rafal, how much info have you got? Do you know where Madskills is? Gets caught in the Gumai momentarily. Does still have a couple of nades to play with here. Could look to try and nade out through into Trophy, but doesn't want to get caught with a nade in his hand. Pre-fires out. Does have the diffuser in pocket and 20 seconds to play with. Both players very low here. Dicey time. Madskills still convinced that the player is inside of Astronomy, as instead going to go for the rotation. Rafal patiently waiting there, just inside of Wolf.
Struggle for Falcons as they were so close to closing it out. Certainly going to be a momentum breaker for them, but either way, BDS will be happy to take that one. Definitely got a little bit scrappy towards the end of it. You can even see our player from the Falcons that had decided to move up through Astro stairs and continue to clear things out. Had a flank set out against him. That was the last player alive for BDS as well, but just unable to catch up with the pacing here of the push coming in from the Falcons. And as a result, sent us in that very dodgy scenario that BDS never really should have ended up in, considering the 2 opening kills that Shaiko got for free while holding on the inside of the 2 master rooms. Either way, though, it ties us up at 1-1. BDS now going to look to try and take the lead as they'll go for their second defense of AVG.
It's hard to tell what went wrong last time when BDS defended Aviator in games, because the main stairs had all the utility you would need to hold it, but somehow the Falcons just brute forced their way up. I mean, even the Gon 6 got caught in a Wamai magnet, and the Banshee had to be shot out anyway. There was barbed wire there that was slowing down the players. It wasn't a very smooth take of the main stairs from Falcons, but somehow they managed to make it work. It was in part due to the pressure that they had inside of Study at the same time, and kind of the passive nature from BDS in the way that they were really trying to keep hold of it. They weren't necessarily playing their life on those main stairs. BDS can come up with a more solid hold and really start to waste a little bit more time and have a bit more of a utility exchange on there. They might be able to keep Falcons at bay.
For me, it was the one-sided nature of how Falcons were able to not only clear out the stairs position, which I agree with you on that. Should have been able to see BDS hold that for a much longer period of time at a minimum, but once they get past that point, I don't even believe they had to actually take a member of BDS down to get to that part of the round. We see them get full access to Bookcase, chain it together into 2 frags from there, and at that point, the floodgates are opened as there's no further defense inside of the bar position, so Falcons just have a straight-up cutoff for the rest of the defense at that point, and are able to take much swifter control throughout the rest of that round. J-Lad already inserting himself to the back of Astro, will take control inside of Trophy. And he's going to look to try and start wrapping over towards that 90 angle, where we did have defense put up from BDS last time, specifically a Lems, if memory serves me correctly, venturing towards this part of the map. Yellow ping will go on to a player, but it's not the one that J-Lad's going to be hunting for here. His target a bit more to the left. He knows it's there too, but a bit too far down the staircase, and they're actually going to trade each other. Shaiko and J-Lad both go down. It's an even exchange to send us into a 4v4 at the beginning of this round.
Not a bad start from your Ash player, Crouch walking their way into the map. Did die with 2 Claymores in pocket. I was surprised not seeing place from those at the top of Astro for the risk of a flank later on into the round, but BDS aren't really being given that amount of space to roam with. O'Kills is going to be prowling underneath. Got a couple of yellow pings to work with, and This is about the time in the round where we do start to see these nades come through. That one won't land onto anything, but the fact that there was a yellow ping there leads me to believe there would have been some sort of utility to be removed in that spot. O'Kill still with a frag grenade left. Joker 2 in pocket as well. Rafal going to be making a rotation in through living room right now. It's going to be a player on the rappel on that 90 window, but could just look to try and make a rotation up these main stairs, but needs to be cautious. Nearly got caught out there by the player on that main door. Rafal really getting himself into a tricky spot here. Alems is able to assist though, picking one up onto Joker as O'Kills comes around with the swing. A messy gunfight will ensue as O'Kills is put down to 1 shot. It's credited with the kill onto Rafal, but at a great cost.
Yeah, O'Kills is going to be forced back as a result of that. Good news is, not for the lack of anything to do, though. He's got the yellow ping, and he's going to sink a beautiful up nade here against Renshiro, setting up the Falcons for what should be a straightforward closeout now via trades. They're going to have to be a little bit careful because of the lower HP sitting on O'Kills. But still, bringing it down to a 3 versus 2 here should give the team all the aggressive capability they need to swing in. Kotos gets the intel on Alem's position. He won't be able to maintain it as a result of that falling back. They do have the Kona stations deep inside of Bar, but they're relatively exposed. Nicely played by Alems, gets one, nearly goes for a second one, but Mad Skills as well gonna be taken down, and Alems to chain together that final frag. BDS get it done in the 2v3, and they pick up the round instead now to take the lead at 2-1.
Alems is unflappable. There is nothing that phases this guy. He's in such a bad situation. All he's got to work with is the door inside of Vault. Still able to pick up 2 kills, gives the space to Brede to land a perfect Toxic Babe canister to shut down the player that was attempting the plants as well. Very patient round from BDS, just saying, look, you're going to play into us here, and there are no 2 ways about it. Much more successful hold there for BDS inside of Aviator and Games. It's going to give them a lead, albeit a narrow one here on Villa. But it's going to force them into a 3rd site rotation, which will be downstairs into the kitchen.
BDS finally going to be forced onto one of their lower sites. Oftentimes where things start to struggle a little bit for the defense because they're forced into extending themselves much more aggressively towards the 2nd floor to be able to waste out time. We've, of course, seen the sledge play previously from the Falcons, and it would be the most useful here, be able to open up those top downs. So, of course, we'll see it replicated. It's just going to be changed up who it's on, specifically as we'll see J-Lad have to play over towards it. I believe we did have Mad Skills taking the mantle for this operator a little bit earlier on inside of these rounds here. So important job for him. Rest of the squad that will proceed as normally. The focus to initially clear things out near Master, as well as that additional extension, but okay, O'Kill's just gonna leap right into the fray himself, catches a very adventurous Renshiro over on the cross. And as a result, the Falcons strike first again here in round number 4.
It's a horrible angle to die from if someone hops up onto that small garage-like building outside, gets on the roof. It's a great line of sight. A little pre-fire is all it takes to catch somebody off guard. Renshiro not having the best game so far, 0-4, really struggling with timing as well. And it's going to open the floodgates really for the Falcons to confirm this top floor clear, because they do have an advantage in it now, and the Magnets haven't had time to regenerate over time. So Renshiro is likely going to have only 2 out on the map. Nice pickup in this round from Falcons as well is going to be the IQ. Obviously, we do have a Pulse being played. Rafal has opted to bring Pulse, and IQ and Pulse, well, it is a perfect combination. If you are an attacker, you get a nice little heads up as to where said Pulse is playing. Alems coming under pressure now, so much so that he is going to drop off as well, and look to maybe rely a little bit more on these Nitro cells. Brede picking one up over onto Mad Skills. You can only think that that was from some good information exchange from Rafal.
Things are brought once again to an even keel. Priority here for the Falcons is going to be on the intel game. Oh, Kotos getting that lucky spot of one of the members of BDS sitting on their phones. They'll be able to spot them as a result of that. In fact, it's probably the Pulse now sitting down below. This is going to be an intense battle here, as of course the defense will want to be able to play out with that info. Rafal, though, able to give his teammates the winning bit of it, as they're going to be able to take down J-Lad, removing the sledge from play before he can really make the majority of these openings that he would like to. Thankfully, here on the Q, they do have a backup policy with these breaching charges. They'll at least be able to try and hunt out a few more of these guys with that avenue being opened up, but so far no success on the top downs from the Falcons. That's going to leave Joker, as well as O'Kills, wondering what to do from the outside, and well, patience ends up being a virtue here for O'Kills, as he shuts down Alems when he gets a bit too adventurous crawling forward. Some utility to be taken care of, so the nade will roll out there to knock that out. And now we'll see the Gemini go in to get a better picture of what the rest of the interior site defense looks like.
Not an easy execute to pull off in the 3 versus 3. No C4s remaining for BDS. Rafal can jump in the scanner to see if he can find out where this push is coming from, but he's going to have the gun in his hand instead. Grabbing one onto O-Kills. Kotos battles back, but he's in the 1 versus 2. 25 seconds left to go. Going to hit the drop and look to make his entry in through tarps. Doesn't seem to be working off too much information here. He's not that confident on which way he ought to be going. BDS, they are going to be playing things very close to their chest here. The Banshee going to give the game away as he looks to try and pre-fire on into the site. 9 seconds to go, and he needs to try and line these 2 kills up if he's hoping to come away with the round. But the time is likely going to tick out here, but not before Shaiko can pad those stats with another one.
Excellently played here. Some consistency starting to show up, especially on the defensive end of it now from BDS, as they're not making those same mistakes we saw earlier on, able to solidify themselves much better, and at least when they are losing players, it's the ones you'd expect to lose on the extended game, able to pull them back a bit more prominently into the site and survive into that site fight. We see, of course, a few trades still coming out from the Falcons, but not nearly enough for them to be able to leverage victory. So BDS going to start to take a bit more of a commanding lead inside of this map. 3-1 so far over the Falcons. Looking to take that a few steps further as well. Might be a good time to see the Falcons take a pause as well if they wanted to go for it, but still some room for them to try and stretch out a few more rounds as well. We'll have to see if they decided to make that decision here.
It's worth noting that round was essentially 4 versus 5 as well for BDS. They did a great job of holding on and not letting that first opening pick get to them too much. It didn't seem to affect their plan in too many ways of how they wanted to try and hold things. They really relied quite heavily on the pulse and that ability to gain information on the heartbeat scanner. And the IQ counter pick, while it worked to a degree, you got an idea as where the pulse was playing, it didn't result in a kill. It didn't result in anyone really shutting down anybody inside of the site. Not really working out as planned for the Falcons. I can only assume we are in a technical pause here.
Yeah, definitely.
I imagine that it's going to be the Falcons that have taken it just to give themselves 45 seconds to really discuss how they want to move forward on this last round of the attack. And of course, how they want to then translate that onto the defense here on Villa.
At the tail end of it, though, so we'll head back into the game now, where it's going to be another upstairs defense as BDS has unlocked this site for play. Mind you, of course, if you weren't here for the earlier rounds, they managed to win trophy first, then went for a second try onto AVG. So that's why you're going to see them go into this site first on the rerun as well. We'll also be able to venture back towards AVG, of course. Should Falcons have a winning strategy to course correct for this upcoming round, we are going to see a few small changes come into the lineup to make things a bit easier for them, most notably the Nomad coming out for Kotos to try to watch out for the more adventurous members of BDS that have been creeping up on these Falcons clears every once in a while. Aside from that, though, everything is going to show itself in the way that we've seen it previously. Most notably their mad skills back on the Maverick as well, to try and take out some of these master walls, if that is going to be the avenue that the Falcons will use to push into the site.
The Lems had a little bit quieter time of things so far. Sitting at 4-3 right now. We've not seen him go for the outlandish roam games that we've seen him do in previous matches. Really playing things a little bit more conservatively here, especially on Villa. But still keeping himself out there as a threat to be countered with. Something that Falcons really struggled to do last time they attacked into Statuary was really take any meaningful control of Master Bedroom. Shaiko ruled the roost in this spot. Shaiko isn't going to be playing here now, and as such, Falcons are going to be having a much more concise effort to take immediate control here, inserting O-Kills quite early on into the round. Drone just working ahead of him there as well, seeing if they can give any information across to him. But at least if he's able to just keep an eye on that door, they can look to try and hold this spot. There is the small matter of the Electroclaw that will need to be dealt with. Now, that could either be done by a grenade underneath, which would probably be the most favorable method at this point, especially seeing as the amount of nades Falcons have brought.
Falcons, though, taking a nice, slow approach to this one, not wanting to repeat the same mistakes that have been made earlier on these clears. O-Kills, of course, with his positioning on the top of the master bed itself. Waiting to see if we'll get any sort of aggressive swing from BDS, but you guys at home can tell from the silhouette, it's not going to be a whole lot moving out from BDS inside of that area. They remain nice, cool, calm, and collected. Even there, we see a potential swing come out, but not a full commitment from Shaiko or anyone else on this squad. Shaiko got a little unlucky there with that damage, but he is able to avoid the most of it. Although the intel comes out for the Falcons, they'll know that a player is going to be locked in the statuary corner, but it's the long-term game here for the Falcons. No way to easily open up this wall. They're going to need to get nades over the top to be able to take out the Electric Claws here, but so far BDS just striking true against Kota's Joker, though, able to make up for that as he's allowed to go to the very edge of the Master Bath entry. He picks up the trade against Red Shiro.
BDS got a difficult job here keeping control of Astro, and he's likely not going to be able to do it. Joker's going to push himself down, but get taken out by Rafal. The SMG-11 there, superior at close range, and BDS with the swing just to keep his buddy safe. Mad Skills, he's going to take Shaiko down as O'Kills pushes on into the site, but it is for the most part going to be unsuccessful as he is immediately downed. Everything now resting on Mad Skills' shoulders. BDS still occupying the area inside of Astro as Mad Skills crouches forward, looking maybe to pick himself up a cheap kill. 20 seconds left isn't a great deal of time to be playing with. The diffuser, of course, cold on the ground. BDS know this, and they are going to guard it with their lives. Last second revive as kills are going to be the order of the day here to get this round done. 7 seconds left on the clock, immediately getting stuck into the goo mine. That's the audio cue that BDS needs for his third on the round. Rafal picking up the last. We've not seen many rounds go out on time. These players are thirsting for those final kills.
Definitely the case, and it's in large part due to the composure we see from BDS inside of that round. We have seen it time and time again, both inside of this map and back on Bank, that they want to be aggressive, they want to try and challenge out the members of Falcons early on, but that hasn't necessarily been the winning formula here on this map. So this time, they take a nice patient hold, especially after the first kill is claimed for themselves. Let Falcons make all the mistakes because we have all the territory, and Falcons are really only relying on those 1 to 2 pushing angles and rarely getting the kind of prep control they need to be able to swing themselves into the site. So BDS can rely on their interior site positioning to get them a lot of kills, and that's exactly how they're able to negotiate such a one-sided hold for themselves as we come down to those final seconds of play.
Could be about to see a 5-1 here on Villa. That would be very, very damning for the Falcons, given that this is their map. This is a map that we know them to be very comfortable on. We've seen them play fantastically on this map already inside of Gamers8. Desperately struggling for a round. BDS only let one slip so far. It was a hold of Aviator in Games Room.
5 seconds to go.
But as we commented on at the time, it was kind of uncharacteristic, and BDS have proved that to be the point, given the fact that they haven't lost since going back here. Shaiko, maybe feeling himself, could be about to go for something a little bit more aggressive. Oftentimes, a nice nitro cell over the balcony will do the job, but seeing he's got the impacts in hand, he's instead just looking for a cheap kill. Unlucky.
The one part of the barricade that he didn't punch out there, unfortunately, is going to be the exact position that Joker repels up towards. So Shaiko just sitting there with question marks hovering over his head, unfortunately, as the unlucky physics just did not play out into his favor to be able to spot that play coming back up. Nicely found, of course, from the Falcons, though. Look at that first kill for free, capitalizing on that little bit of aggression from BDS, trying to take the needle a bit more towards the aggro side for this round, and immediately going to be forced to pay the price for it.
BDS have won rounds 4 versus 5 already on Villa, but it's never ideal if that's the way that you're going to be starting things out, especially on Aviator and Games, given that there are just so many important places that you need to try and keep a hold of. And with Flores being brought this time, those Rotero drones are going to make short work of a lot of the utility that has been brought. There's no mute on the side of BDS to really counter that play, and as such, a lot of that barbed wire, a lot of those deployables, and of course the Malusi Banshees are going to be made very short work of. Lem's still playing on that main stair area. BDS, for the meantime, fairly well spread out. They've suffered greatly at the hands of vertical nades as well, as Falcons in and around the midpoint will get themselves in below and look to make good on that drone information that they can gather. This time, though, as we can see from the silhouettes, there's going to be no Falcons players underneath. Instead, they're going for quite a horizontal push.
Joker ready to start moving himself forward. Has reached the threshold of death's door. This is always where that execute halts. You need that secondary angle to push in, whether it's going to be support coming in from Study. More than likely not going to see that happening too strong of a degree here for the Falcons. They just don't have the player presence in that portion of the map. We could still see some action build up over towards 90 to build up with J-Lad and try to pinch things out over towards the bar door. And that may end up being the intention here, as we can already see O'Kill's position towards that. He's going to try to position himself right up on top of this hatch in case things get a bit dodgy. And he'll actually drop down, too. Wants to see if any of these vertical vertical angles will yield visuals against the members of BDS, and he nearly is able to get it. You can see glimpses of one of the players sitting above. This yellow ping, unfortunately, going to be way off mark, so not going to be able to spot much from that. 0 damage done to the players on BDS here, and Joker also taking a lot of heat. Thankfully, Adrenal Surge is still in play for the Falcons, so they can boost his HP up to a little bit more of a workable point.
It's looking like a single doorway push here, as Falcons haven't really got too many options to get through these reinforced walls. Rafal kicks off things for BDS with a kill onto J-Lad. The plant was being attempted briefly, but it's immediately stopped. Madskill's pushing his way in, will be the next player to fall downed, as well as Kotos is going to try and lock in that plant, but he's likely going to be the only player standing. A desperate pre-fire there from Bride sees the job done as BDS let Falcons in and then lock them out.
And once again, it's that interior site defense not giving an inch over towards the Falcons here. So composed, not making any mistakes. And as a result of that, the Falcons are just left constantly guessing. For 2 rounds in a row now, this is, guys, how do we get in here? How do we rush past this setup without immediately losing half of our lineup? That's the problem that they're currently going up against. And unfortunately, they just have not had a solution for that for the past 2 rounds. The early clear, the roam clear, that much is fine. But getting into the site is a real problem right now for the Falcons. The good news is, though, the attacking side is over. They can flip it over to the defense and focus more so on this side, but now down 1-5, quite obviously, as you can see it on your screen. We'll have to be nearly perfect on this attacking side, or this defensive side, excuse me, to be able to bring things back under their own control.
You can hear the crowd getting behind the local side now, as well as the Let's Go Falcons chant rings out through the stadium. They're going to need plenty of that if they hope to get 4 rounds in a row here and level things up with BDS. BDS only 2 rounds away from taking this second map in the series, and at that point things start to look pretty desperate indeed for the Falcons. They'll no longer be able to make any mistakes inside of this best of 5.
5 seconds left.
It's going to have to be a fairly squeaky clean defense on Villa. First round, as always, will set that pace. BDS have the comfort of a 4-round buffer. And for them, the pressure, realistically, it's off right now. They don't have that pressure leaning down onto them. Lem's going to be rocking the Jackal this time, seeing if he can get a handle on some of this roam game that they're expecting from the Falcons. They roamed very heavily on Bank, and it makes sense that you would expect them to roam quite heavily here on Villa as well, already getting themselves established inside of Master as they look to try and take control of this side of the map.
Just go quite quiet here, but it's going to get loud pretty quickly. As I mentioned, that Shaiko letting a winning nade, getting some revenge for his death earlier on, playing in this very same position, takes out a Joker. At the same time, Lems is also lost elsewhere on the map. E1D Charge going to move in. Not going to see any huge movement from BDS to correspond to it, however, so Madskill's still ready to try and strike back against this entry that had moved in from Shaiko and a few of the other members of BDS, but their priorities are elsewhere. Definitely wanting to try and move themselves over towards trophy side with the way they're lining up their players right now. They may very well be able to do it. You can see how much pressure has been forced off here from the players on Falcons. Madskills may have his first challenge in just a moment. He's got the CZ out to take it as well. Beautifully played. Knocks out Shaiko. Gets revenge against him. And oh, what a refrag to go right back into that same angle. Clips the head off of Bride as well. And leaves BDS. Oh, Madskills with another one to take home too. Renshiro also going to be left stunned as to just how his head was found there. But still, it's been done. And now Rafal, the only one left standing. He'll get the first kill needed, but 3 more still need to be claimed.
Minute and 10 left for Rafal to try and get this done. Not a great amount of utility at his disposal. Okil's prone underneath the Kiba barricade. It was always going to be a difficult one for Rafal to challenge onto. Madskills, coach, by the way. That's not the first time tonight that we've seen him pick up multi-kills either. He's making a little bit of a name for himself on the defense, whether it be Legion or Vigil. He's lethal.
He's gonna have like the highest headshot percentage of any fill-in in history at this rate, because some of these shots we're seeing are just, look at this, absolutely insane. And then one more as well. This whole team can do this though. We've seen multiple members of the Falcons going for these tiny little lean peaks where they lean out, go for the one shot, and then quickly unlean. We see that out of quite a few of the other members on this roster. And it's been a really successful tactic for the Falcons over the course of the series they played at this tournament.
It's in contrast to what we're used to seeing as well. We're used to seeing just players mag dump angles. Like, if you're not pre-firing an angle and dumping half a clip into it, what are you doing with yourself? But these guys just love going for these little flashy one-taps, and it often works out for them. Falcons, they've grabbed the first round of many that they need if they want to try and lock things up here with BDS. 3 rounds behind now and already forced into their site rotation. Kotos, hopefully not going to go for anything too aggressive here, as we saw exactly what happened to Shaiko when he attempted the same. He's going to go for the little cheeky run out though. It's not one that exposes you too much. You just a little hop out, hop back in, maybe go for the nitro cell over the top as well, just for good measure. The drones are already working ahead here for BDS.
Fakes out at least one of the frag grenades from the Falcons, and look over towards them. They didn't necessarily bring a whole lot to the party this time. Still down to only just 2 remaining for themselves. So actually, I'll correct myself. I believe that was an impact I heard go off, not a frag grenade. So never mind. As we see J-Lad just opening up a bit more of an angle to play into on the top downs there from the interior of that bedroom angle. Renshiro and some of the other members of BDS now going to get themselves into position to start fending off this pressure from the Falcons on the interior of Master as well. Have to be very careful about the pushes. At minimum, what that opening run out is going to do is make BDS second guess themselves for this opening clear. They know that Kotos or someone else from the Falcons is going to want to try and venture forward aggressively here. They just don't know exactly where it's going to come from. The drone, I believe, just spotted Kotos, though, so they'll have that assurance now. We'll probably have the confidence to at least move into walk-in. You know, their sights to be chained together after that as well. Now that O'Kills is going to be isolated here, he should still have a key or two to re-block that window off, though, if he wants to continue to hold this angle quite aggressively.
Lem's taking a good amount of damage there as he does get juiced back up somewhat. EMP goes out just to nullify any electronics as a Lion Scan comes through as well. O'Kills just playing at the bottom of Astronomy Stairs. Kotos needs to be cautious. There's a lot of angles open here for BDS to work with. And Nade going to get caught there by the Wamai, as he has got an angle now to work with through this reinforced wall. It's going to take a little bit of damage though as the hopping comes through. It's going to be successful from Kotos, shutting Renshiro down. Lion Scan or not, Renshiro will fall. And that's going to be the first kill coming in at around the minute 15 mark. So quite a slow round considering the pressure that BDS have applied straight from the off.
O'Kills with the winning angle to try and fend off the pressure through the breach that was made by these defenders as well to the left side of that triple wall leading into Master. O'Kills, though, tries to be patient on it, but also having to watch out for some pressure. Might work its way in from Astro. He's got Joker to pay attention to that, but he can only watch one of these angles at a time, too. It's a little bit of a tricky hold here for the Falcons, as they're only the 3rd player in this position to do so. That shot, I believe, actually tapping one onto Rafael just slightly there, but fall back and see if that ends up being true. They'll block up a bit more of that rotation from Astro, but Shaiko is going to be able to catch O'Kills instead. That angle works just as well for the attackers as it does for the defenders, and this time BDS excel at evening things out. And oh, the timing for Joker. I think he went to look to his left. That'll lead to his death. Shaiko chaining multiple together now as well, leaving J-Lad on his own inside of the 1v3. Won't be able to contend against the pressure as one more is claimed from Shaiko. He's quickly going for that kill bounty here. We'll have to keep tabs on if he's going to be able to actually catch up to the current leader, which is O'Kills on the side of the Falcons.
If Shaiko keeps getting 4 kills around, he's not going to be far off. Such a dangerous player, especially on Finker. I mean, the Finker LMG makes a lot of people look good, but Shaiko uses it just so well. He gets himself in great positions to pick up multiple kills. That's exactly what we saw in that round. Map point for BDS on Villa. Set to be a much shorter affair than what we saw on Bank going to all available rounds. Falcons really run out of steam. Didn't have a very successful attacking phase, and as such, can't afford to make many mistakes on this defensive side. Now, Falcons too managed to gain 1 round on that attack, but BDS really didn't look too pushed inside of that last round. They were very happy to play patiently and to let Falcons make the mistakes and force the error.
That's kind of been the critical thing that I think BDS has realized ever since we got towards round 2 or 3 of this map, is that if they play things slowly, more composed, more than likely Falcons are going to make those mistakes. They are going to try and go for those aggressive peaks, like we're going to see again here from Kotos, just trying his luck about it. Like you said, this doesn't expose him too much, unless someone actually tried to peek the very same angle that he was firing at, which you'd hope he'd have a good chance of at least winning that fight there. So nothing too much lost here with that run out, but still, once again, evidence towards the fact of what BDS is playing into here. They know that Falcons are eventually going to try to make a move somewhere on the map. As long as they're set up appropriately to counter it, they should be able to use that as an opportunity to get a kill or two to push the advantage into their own corner here. And that's been the winning strategy for the past 5 or 6 rounds now, and has obviously thrusted BDS into a very powerful position here on Villa.
Mad Skills there going to be gifted an opener onto Shaiko, just trying to make a sneaky entrance in through the basement. It's a very underused area of Villa. I'm not sure if he got caught out in a drone or just caught getting himself into the map, but regardless, it's going to be a kill that goes over to the Falcons. A good opener here to get, especially when Shaiko has that potential to pick up those multi-kills and is often a big reason as to why BDS's executes work in those dying few seconds. It puts a bit more pressure onto everybody else as well, and the loss of the adrenal surge and those couple of nades is going to be felt for sure. It's going to leave a lot for Lems to do with the 2 nades that he has left remaining. He drops the Gemini clone, just hopping in and seeing if he can get a bit of a better view of how the land lies. Madskill's going to be playing things quite tight on the window, knows that the Gemini was just thrown in and picks up a great shot over onto a Lems. Another headshot for him as well.
We were saying before, the accuracy for Madskill specifically, but also for quite a few of the other members here on Falcons, looking second to none inside of this tournament at the moment here. BDS certainly going to be a little bit scared about how to proceed from this point forward, as finally the slow play has come back to bite them. Falcons are finally able to line up some of this early aggression with some success for themselves. It's been evading them the past 2 rounds. Kairos are in, but I think quite a few of them are going to be lost and shut out quite quickly. So not going to get the opening that they would like to have in the long run here. They're going to need to look for another avenue to move themselves in, as you can also see quite a bit of a defensive setup for the Falcons position over here. But even when we see Renshiro try to open up new territory further towards the red stairs, he's immediately fended off by another player from the Falcons. Has been pushed out. Joker in this area now going to feel the safety to move even further out from that position. Bride still looking for this player as well, and meanwhile he's on the opposite side of the map. BDS, unfortunately, for this round at least, have just lost the plot entirely. I'm not sure how they're going to be able to try and postulate this push. With only 20 seconds to go, at least they catch Joker at the tail end of things here. A second to be found from Breedis. Maybe it's not over just yet, but Breedy will now be left alone on an island. And Kotos will quickly exchange him out for the Falcons to claim a 3rd round.
That push from BDS seemed to fall the moment that Shaiko was lost. And that signifies a little bit of a problem if you are relying on a talisman player like that. And I'm not necessarily suggesting that BDS rely on Shaiko, but he is a big part of these attacking pushes. And when he falls early and whatever initial plan was set then cannot be executed, and you see a couple of solo challenges, Lems did suffer some quite unfortunate timing, and Madskills couldn't put a foot wrong. He picked up 3 on the roam, and he was here, there, and everywhere. Falcons doing exactly what they need to stay in this. BDS still on a match point though. 3 rounds for Falcons in a row now would see them take this to an overtime. But how many times can they fend off that match point from BDS?
Indeed, it needs to be 3 in a row from this point forward. Consistency needs to be found here. BDS indeed still looking for the closeout on themselves. Not able to dictate where we go for it. And we are going to go to arguably one of the more difficult sites to try and breach as the attackers as well. Falcons back on the AVG hold, where they were able to pretty quickly lock things up here on the 1st round of the half. But the repeat, we're looking to get a 4th round. That'll be the first of 3 needed. No huge change-ups to the operating department here. Still going to be relying quite heavily on the Thunderbird to bolster their efforts on the interior of the site and act as a fallback for the extended players should they lose too much HP and need to fall back from their positions entirely.
Can hear the crowd there, getting more and more hype as every round that Falcons win. They're going to need more of that if they hope to close things out here on Villa. Certainly have the support of the stadium. Is that going to be enough though? BDS going to be starting their campaign here, looking to gain a little bit of early information on that top floor. We do have Joker playing downstairs in library. Just have a C4 in hand. He isn't working off tons of info at the moment, just hearing barricades knock out here and there and looking to give it a cursory glance, see if there's any opportunity to be found. Conscious he could be getting droned and baited here, but Lems is going to be playing this one quite slowly indeed. Maybe looking for a little bit of a bait out of the window there as he is going to open up now. Renshiro kicking things off with an early nade kill onto J-Lad. Alems does get caught out by Joker. Joker played downstairs fantastically there. Didn't get baited into one window or another. Was very quick to react as soon as the second was bashed.
Shiro positioning himself a little bit further back, now gonna get scared away from that mudroom hopping. Not having the confidence to move forward with it, and without the team support as well, cannot justify going for that type of a play. So he'll group up with some of the other players clearing out Arch Studio and try to pinch things in closer towards Library. Need to focus up though to play into Study. Especially that Art Studio push for himself. So we still have at least one element alive. Mad skills, and this is arguably one of the most dangerous ones. Let's go to these operators with the 1.5 times, and I can't disagree with him with his headshot accuracy too. The top down, beautifully played, and is gonna be able to knock out Renshiro, and here comes Mad skills to land what arguably could be the killing blow for this round. At the same time though, Rafal gonna be able to bully his way forward. Could get a second kill by Death's Door, but no, Joker wins that fight instead, and Kontos closes out with one more. The Falcons refuse to die, but they still have 2 more rounds to go.
The Falcons are fighting here, chaining these rounds together, taking things one step at a time. So far it's working out for them. BDS, frustrated looks on the faces. Do still have a timeout, so could look to try and stop some of that momentum that the Falcons have gained over the course of the last couple of rounds and recompose themselves enough to get that one round that they need. But for BDS, the problem has really been in that opening. They've been very unsuccessful in that opening engagement. We saw Renshiro get a great nade kill there, but as soon as Alems fell underneath, it was a solo challenge. There was no one there to trade off the back of it. It seems to be being won and lost on that roam game because it's costing BDS quite a lot. And when those players from Falcons are then able to be successful on the roam and rotate themselves back upstairs, that's really when things start to become a little bit of a problem.
Starting from 5-1, BDS has certainly lost their edge to an extent, but thankfully plenty more opportunities still to close this out. 2, in fact, sit in front of them. And indeed, this is more than likely going to be their tactical pause they've taken here and now, icing out their opponents just a tad, but realistically needing to recenter themselves as well. Things have gone awry over the past few rounds. The strategies that were working previously, it's no longer the case, and these attacks are oftentimes leading into them losing far too much too early on, not even allowing them to make a bid for the site, let alone get the majority of their players into the building. The aggression from the Falcons is difficult to control when players like Mad Skills are allowed to constantly go off on their roam game. For the Falcons, though, finally reaching a point where maybe they'll have to stretch themselves a bit too thinly, as they too need to extend all the way down to the first floor now for their site hold. They'll select Kitchen for this one, so they need to lock this one in before being able to return upstairs to Trophy for what would be the final round to trigger a second consecutive overtime.
BDS know what they're going to be going up against here. They know they're going to be going downstairs to Kitchen. Not opting to bring a sledge. Instead, they're going to be relying on soft breach that they have in form of breaching pads. But Shiro is going to be playing the Nomad, so we'll look to try and lock down some of those staircases and remove that ability to roam and rotate. Mad Skills. Been such a threat in the early part of the round. It's going to be no different here. Alems noticing that the window is open there into Study, not wanting to give himself up too easily. All this does is really slow down the attackers as well. When they're conscious that they're going to get spawn peaked, they're conscious of this early aggression, it can just sap away a little bit of that time. And as we know, time is so important on the attack. You've got to be very efficient with your time. And if it takes you an extra 20, 30 seconds to make your way to the building, it can be very damning indeed. The second round in a row, though, Renshiro is going to hit that opening kill, taking down O-Kills, successful on the Nomad.
Reggie with obviously a great start for him, and going to be able to resume pretty much immediate control over the upstairs hold and master. Oh, we have to wait and see though, as there's going to be a dash attempt from J-Lad to try and work his way past this 2-player hold at the pantry window. Only goes into a down state. The nade actually chucked down below too, so it's not going to finish off J-Lad. He'll surprisingly be allowed to be brought back up here, but right obviously at very low HP. We do not have the Thunderbird present for the Falcons either, so not going to be able to see that HP be brought back up at a later point in the round.
Alems hanging around the back Astro stairs. He's going to push himself straight into sight, as we've seen him do so many times, but immediately shut down. Kotos picks up 2. J-Lad onto Rafal, and Shaiko and Renshiro left to pick up the pieces. Shaiko in the middle of sight. Toxic Babe canister choking him out before he finds one. He's 1 versus 2. This will be 4 kills on the round if he's able to get it. He's locked into the 1 versus 1 with mad skills. Could look to try and get the plant down. Depends on how much information he's got available to him here. Sitting at around half HP. No C4 available for mad skills. Going to start the plant now. Could be a bait, could be a stick. Looks as though he's going to try and stick it. There must be some information here available for BDS, but it's not going to be enough. Mad skills clutching out the round like it's nothing.
The coach showing up as the hero that is needed in the midst of the round yet again here as Mad Skills brings it back under the control, takes us to the final round of regulation, where once again we could be thrusted into overtime. Beautifully played by the Falcons here as they're able to come back from the brink. A 1-5 start on this half, now all the way up to 5-6. Still at a deficit though, so needs to pick up that one final round. And also a massive profit to Kotos once more as well. I set it back on map number 1, and we've seen it here once again inside of that last round here. This player continues to be a hero time and time again when situations look bleak. He's always able to multi-frag under a tremendous amount of pressure, oftentimes in a fairly claustrophobic position on the interior of these sites as well, but still, he always is coming out on top with a multi-frag. Definite props going to him as well for saving that round for the Falcons.
Mad Skills is 16-8 right now. Going double positive, 16-8. That's absolutely nuts. Consider that Shaiko, someone we always talk about when we're talking about kills, is only on 12-9. Bride actually currently the kill leader for BDS as that hard support on 13-7. Has had a couple of exit frags, admittedly. But Mad Skills is really coming out there with some very impactful kills, particularly at the start of the round, and being there ready to clutch inside of the last one as well.
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb.
BDS have had plenty of opportunities to close out this match point, but this will be their last opportunity before we are forced into an overtime. And they're going to be looking at that and going, guys, we really ought to have done this a little bit sooner. There has been plenty chance for BDS to shut Villa out and take us onto our 3rd map. Only time will tell if this is going to finally be that round.
BDS indeed still need to try and lock in one more for themselves, and all of this comeback effort from the Falcons could ultimately be for naught, and that would be a massive momentum breaker for a team being able to get themselves to an international stage like this for the very first time. The home crowd here as well. Falcons will certainly have to be pulling the greater part of their strength if they go down 0-2, coming so close to the comeback and only being denied on the final round. We'll hold our breath to wait and see as Rafal goes huge at the beginning of this one, able to get a beautiful lineup against both J-Lad as well as Joker to bring things down to a 5v3 before we even cross the first minute threshold on this round.
It's a big start for BDS, and it is the start that they needed moving into what could be the last round here of Villa. Nice opening advantage there as well, removing the mute and the Wamai. Shaiko going to double down, taking Mad Skills down, but O-Kills is there for the trade. He's going to have to go pretty huge here inside of Master. He's going to get a couple of kills lined up for him as Alems and Bride both next to fall. Quick as a flash, well leveled up 2 versus 2, and Falcons are straight back in this one.
O-Kills was such a bold play as well to push himself out into Master, considering the risk involved in it, but this is what's been bringing the Falcons back so many times when it seemed like the round had already been lost here. BDS now struggling for options as they're brought down to an even kill in a 2v2, not with the greatest amount of utility to execute into this site as well. No more nades to try and burn out any hard lock positions from the Falcons, only flashes built up between the 2 players. More than likely still with an E1D charge to use on Rafal, but more than likely these Falcons players going to be static in their positions, or certainly with the capability to be so once the charge goes in, so that won't trip them up. Obviously the Nomad charge is certainly going to be helping out, but the Falcons again strike true. It's Kotos with the Nitro Cell to shut down Rafal and end his rampage on this round. Everything now falls to Renshiro, who, to be honest, has been struggling a bit inside of this game too. 5-10 currently, but the first kill is found. Won't be able to find no kills though, so the Falcons do it again as they trigger OT for the 2nd map in a row.
The Falcons Falcons are the team that are never down until they are out. This was an insurmountable task on Villa, picking up 4 rounds in a row, and they have done just exactly that. They have stemmed BDS off from converting that map point into a match point, and they now trigger an overtime. Falcons can be very happy with what they've been able to achieve here on Villa, because I'll be honest with you, the first half didn't look great. I was thinking this could be a very quick Villa indeed, and even up until this last round, you look at it and you think BDS have got to take this round. They had such a great advantage. They just did not account for O-kills. O-kills picked up a couple of really important frags, and you could arguably say that BDS handed it to them at some point. The all-important question here is who will get which side inside of the OT. Unfortunately for BDS, they get the attack.
So we're gonna have to continue to struggle against the same types of attacks they've been failing to pull off here inside of regulation. Are going to be going back to the AVG for the initial hold. For those guys who are unaware of the rules here for overtime in Siege, we mentioned this in map number 1, but we do not have unlimited overtime here, despite the fact it's a best-of-5 final. Just going to be the straight 3 rounds, so first to 8 will win it. And on top of that, of course, as usual, the sites that were previously locked for the Falcons, even though they're still staying on the defense, they are now going to be unlocked for play. So they'll be able to go back towards AVG and try to lock in another round for themselves here.
And if you're BDS, you're going into this round knowing that we've struggled on this site. You're going into this round knowing that it has not been an easy one to attack onto at all. Kotos?
It took him a few tries.
It's all about the placement. It is all about the placement with the Cade Electrical. If you can get one in an impossible spot, particularly behind a vault door, it's going to be pretty tricky to deal with. BDS likely not going to be able to deal with that one inside of this round at least. And it certainly will slow the progress whenever they get to that point in the round. For the meantime, they're going to be looking to take control of Master and work their way through this north side of the map.
Really, that is a perfect electric claw too. It's going to be very, very difficult for BDS to even find that, let alone be able to successfully knock it out, as you've also got a fully hard wall sitting behind it. Will be completely inaccessible to the attackers. More than likely, all those side walls reinforced too. That would be the second best way to try and access it. Once again, if they could even find it, which I doubt that from a drone's POV. Ranchiro, though, setting himself up against 90 quite quickly, wants to punish any of this aggression that we get from the Falcons, as they've taken the opposite approach that BDS had on their defensive side. BDS wanting to stay cool, calm, and composed. Yeah, slightly relying on their extended game to maybe waste some time, and if they get lucky, pick up a kill or two at the beginning of the round. But the Falcons, even when they're pushed into a deficit, they're willing to risk it all in a bold play, and that's been what's saving them so many different times here. And it's caused so much fear and second guessing to be brought into BDS's attacking clears.
BDS looking to move quite quickly here as Shaiko pushes himself through, but it's straight into the gun of Mad Skills. That push wasn't bolstered by anybody else on the side of BDS, and as a result will just be a straight advantage to the Falcons. You could see BDS immediately scared to pushing off the back of it after they saw Shaiko's fate, and Kotar's going to shut a Lems down out there on the rappel once again, leaving BDS in a very difficult situation. Kotos is lining him up for free here as Rafal gets himself into a scuffle, but he too shall fall. Downed outside of Study, and with Brede the only line of attack left, it's going to be a flawless for the Falcons. They bring it all the way back and put themselves onto a map point.
The comeback is so close to its completion now. Remember, folks, 1-5 is the way we started this one out, and the Falcons have nearly brought it back in their own regard, risking potentially going down 0-2 in this series as well if they had not been able to do so. But now everything sits in their court. Just need to pick up that one final round, and they'll lock it in as once again BDS tries to go directly for the site play, but immediately are fended off by both J-Lad and Mad Skills. No immediate follow-up to try and make up the difference from BDS either. Didn't have an immediate plan B behind that rush in through Death's Door. So because Falcons had the Kona station, they got themselves boosted right back up to near full HP and were ready for another fight. So by the time BDS were ready to move in, Falcons were more than ready for the challenge and once again shut down the play. BDS have a little bit of a sigh of relief to play into, as obviously they'll be switching over to the defensive side of things, where it did look a bit more dominant for them earlier on in the match. But even so, that looming threat of the return to the attacking side after this round is still something they're going to have to contend with sooner rather than later.
You've got to ask as well, at what point does it start to affect the mental on BDS? They've been on that map point for so long now, and Falcons have just gone from strength to absolute strength. Sure, they've got a little bit more of a difficult side here on the attack. Falcons, as BDS did, struggled on the attack on Villa, but the momentum is certainly in their favor right now. And if Falcons are able to sweep them out here, it's going to spell serious ramifications inside of the best of 5 as a whole. The next map, of course, being Oregon, which is absolutely guaranteed. And I don't know, I've got a feeling we might see all 5 tonight, Blue.
It's looking more and more likely if the Falcons continue to show us this comeback capability. BDS need to give us a bit of it as well, but the Falcons, zero respect being given here, especially by J-Lad as he moves himself directly towards the inside, already with positioning towards the lower landing of the red stairs too. Could make about quite quickly, but needs to build up the intel before he really tries to push himself into that. Even so, he's going to be down here on the lower level of those red stairs. If we see that member of BDS try to venture downwards, it's going to be Shaiko as well. Let's set up the perfect fight here for J-Lad and some of the other players in the Falcons to get that opening kill yet again. Shaiko as well, being shut down quite heavily here, but this time he's going to excel, be able to take down J-Lad. Pick up the first kill of the round for BDS.
That's exactly what BDS needed. They've really struggled in the opening engagement, and to keep Shaiko alive and to get him credited with the first kill is going to be huge here. Sledge is gone, 2 nades gone. All of that is only a good thing for BDS when they're looking to hold on to trophy and statuary here. Joker now looking to make his way into the party as he's getting himself in below. There are going to be players at the bottom of Astro. Looks as though he's aware of this though, as he's going to get a bit of a pre-fire out there. Meanwhile, Alems is going to be taken out off camera here as O'Kills has established himself inside of Astro. More firefights happening inside of Astro, but Bride just a step too far, I'm afraid. He loves playing inside of that position, just on the threshold of trophy. Still, Joker will pick up Renshiro below, but doesn't account for a second player. Almost gets caught with a nade in his hand there as he rotates over toward these east stairs. Hightails it out of there and keeps himself alive for the meantime. 3 versus 3.
Falcons keeping up with pace here despite the struggle they faced at the beginning of the round due to the loss. The push from J-Lad. Still going to be able to keep themselves in the fight, but for how much longer is the question. Shaiko, he's been reactivated now on the defensive side. He's immediately fragging out. Kotos has gone down. Mad Skills and Joker going to look to make up the difference. Another swing, this time from Bride, takes out Joker. And leaves Mad Skills alone here inside of the 1v3, trying to make the play, but just can't make it happen against that M590. It's all too easy of a closeout, and indeed, that final round, number 15, is triggered by BDS as we go the full distance for a second time.
It's not every day you get to see someone tank 3 shots of the shotgun. Plenty of opportunity there, but it was always going to be a tough round, especially with the way that it started out for Falcons. O'Kills gave it his best, but that bottom floor clear not being successful enough, and Shaiko absolutely everywhere on the map, really putting the steps in inside of that one. It does still bode quite ill for BDS, given that they have to go back onto the attack now, a side that they have struggled with, as have the Falcons here on Villa, but it will be the last round of play here for map number 2. Falcons going to be taking us into trophy and statuary, where they will make their final stand.
All comes down to this for the Falcons here, back onto a site which they have been able to make great control over off the back of, again, some very unexpected aggression in areas like Master. A few of the other initial clear positions that BDS would like to take. There's a mudroom and whatnot, which are usually quite easy for the attackers to walk right into on a round like this, have not been the case whatsoever. Falcons just have to close it down one more time to lock in the tie point on this series at 1-1. Joker going to be quite adventurous with his own positioning, but as we've seen before, very much off on an island. He'll have 0 team support. So if he gets peeked and goes down over here in his art studio in front lobby position, that'll be a clean kill for BDS. No trades will be seen for the foreseeable future.
There's a big question mark as to how BDS approach this, because they've tried a little bit of everything on Villa. They've tried rush rounds, they've tried slow push rounds, and nothing has really consistently worked out for them. They brought the Lion. Of course, Lion can mean a multitude of things. It doesn't always mean a rush, but sometimes it signifies a bit of a go button. As soon as you get a nice little opening, that's when you're going to use the Lion scan and you're going to try and take a little bit more ground. Obviously, with the Nomad there as well, you're looking to cut off some of those rotations, although we haven't really seen the air jabs play a huge part in this game. Mad Skills tanks a nade and is left on basically 1 HP there. he has been often a big part of how successful these defensive rounds have been for the Falcons, getting himself in and around the map, really covering a lot of ground and shutting down any sort of early approach. At least for this time, we've seen that approach somewhat successful, as we're already about halfway through into the round, and BDS are starting to get themselves established.
Joker ready for a challenge. Doesn't know where it's going to come from, though, and the drone now spotting him out here. Oh, thankfully, it's going to be a friendly drone. It's obviously with Mozzie in play for mad skills. Haven't actually seen him being able to steal one of those away and at least to use it just yet, but obviously a change of pace to that now for this round. Joker, though, a big risk, but it pays off for him. He's able to get rid of that Nomad charge and get himself out of dodge, but still, he'll lose one of his teammates to start this off. Shaiko gets the opening entry of the round. Another one going to be claimed for him as well. Joker not going to be able to maintain position, but he does trade out against Shaiko. We're following the rest of BDS, though, have won this trade and brought it all down to Kotos, but he also downs the case, so it's not secure just yet for BDS either. If Kotos can hold here, he might be the hero that sends the Falcons into a tie position. But he's going to have to maintain, backs up a bit, will give that case control over to the players from BDS. Starting to second guess about where the next peak will come from. He's right in the prediction, but missteps his footing, and that will lead to the end of the map. BDS locking it instead and get the 2-0 advantage in the series.
I think the result that everybody was expecting, but a result that took a long time to come through. BDS successful on Villa, but it was not made easy for them by the Falcons. The Falcons coming back after an insurmountable round count deficit. They needed 4 rounds to force an overtime. They found it, but it wasn't quite enough.
Map number 2 is done. We have anywhere from 1 to 3 maps remaining. Let's go down to the desk to break things down and get us ready for the 3rd map coming up in just a bit.
Thank you very much, friends. Yes, we are back, and BDS yet again are taken to max OT on map 2 this time, and they're able to take it to, I gotta say, could have gone either way, but then Shaiko and Bride happen, and that's kind of the story of it all. Welcome back to the desk. I'm Milosh. With me are Twister and Tristan. Twister, what went on in Villa?
What an insane match we had so far, Milosh. I'm impressed at the level that both of the teams showed on this match. They were so impressive, and it was so fun to watch.
These are 2 like incredibly evenly matched teams, and as much as we can say Falcons are 2-0 down right now, backs against the wall, it's like, how much closer really could it have been? Like, can we be that critical about it when the round count right now is 16-14? Obviously, it's a shame that they can't see out the match, and maybe that's the experience of a player like Shaiko going in the first match, the very last round on the Finca gets a 4K. In this map, it gets a 3K in the very last round. He's just having moments that really define you as a player, and he's just popping off.
Well, you see some highlights here brought to you by STC, one of our many sponsors here at Aramco. You're one of our many at Gamers8, and I gotta say, you can take this entire game as a highlight. Everybody was popping off, but who was really doing the work aside from just kills? Because to have players that are able to frag or get big entries, you need supports that can give them the information to do so, right, Twister?
As we mentioned before, this match could be pretty even on this map specifically, Villa. But on this map, what we saw today, it was a very defended side. And once we talk about defense on BDS players, we are talking about Rafal and Breed. They were just insane, probably the responsibles of this result right now. And once we saw a bank like on Shaiko and LM's going nuke, this map was totally on Rafal and
Breed. Especially on the defense, and I completely agree with you. They kind of shut down any opportunity for plants. We only saw maybe, I think, 2 or 3 plants, was it? Something like that. It's, you know, they really managed to hold on to those sites. I think it's, you have to say it's a really good credit to those site players to not constantly die to divert nades like we've seen every other team do. I spoke about it in Falcons against Wild on the desk. Like the way that Falcons managed to just completely clear Kaneo off of the map after what he'd done on Chalet, Bride didn't let that happen to himself. He stayed alive in those moments, managed to clutch up rounds, play smart, play tight on the defense. And ultimately, that's just what did it for BDS.
But it's a big comeback then to go from, what, 6-1, 6-2, and then bring it back to overtime and then take it advantage in overtime into max OT, Twister. That's got to weigh heavily on Falcons.
It was a clash of different play styles that we saw here today. It was an old school meta from BDS. It was a Zami totally new meta from Falcons. And this comeback, it just showed us how Falcons is prepared to take this title. They can go for the 5 map right right now. They just showed us with 2 maps that we had 8-7, so anything can happen.
It doesn't get any tighter than this. It doesn't get any tighter. I don't know what better of a final that we could have asked for to see Siege played at this high of a level so consistently. Like, we're not seeing throws, we're not seeing teams lose 4v1s or anything like that. Every single round's going down to the wire. It's good Siege, but again, we're not even seeing many rush rounds, to be completely honest with you. No. I think a couple that have come through. Yeah, both teams just playing strong, structured Siege, and you can see it in the scoreboard now. Just look how consistently these kills are showing up on both teams.
Yeah, you've got your scoreboard brought to you by STC. Of course, 8-7 overtime win for BDS. And genuinely, those look, at least if you're looking at both teams, very similar.
We can see both of the teams just leading the scoreboard. We saw Shaiko, Rafal, and Breed just leadership. This and Mad Skills going nuke on this map. I would say that probably if Falcons would be able to win this map, it would be totally on Mad Skills.
Yeah, I think, and it would have been deserved as well, to be honest. I don't think you could say either team really deserved to lose this map, is the shame about it. But yeah, they couldn't see it over the line.
Well, we have a special segment for everybody. I think we like to dig into strategies, but for that, we got Mr. Jack on the other side. So, Fresh, you got any produce on the other side?
I've just got a little round I wanted to highlight, Milosh. I could have highlighted quite a few rounds from Falcons, and it's actually going to be about the Falcons and their comeback that they did. Obviously, they were 6-2 down, got onto the defense. And realistically, the one thing that's really impressed me about this team as to why they're actually winning rounds and actually staying in these games is their grit, their determination, and their composure. So I'm just going to play this round out, and it's going to be basically 40 seconds of the round. And I want you to focus on the Kaid here. I want you to focus on Q and how he plays, because basically, he's been pushed from about 4 different angles, and he has that composure in the late round. You see, he just picked up a down but not out injured teammate, and the aggression is going to come in from LMs, from BDS, basically all at the same time. Now, when this happens, you have to hold your nerve. You have to have your nerve about you. He gets 1, he gets 2. He does end up getting traded out as this guy pushes into Kitchen, but he holds off sufficient time for his teammates to then get back and then be able to clutch back up on site. Obviously, Shaiko gets it down to 1v1, and if you remember rightly, Shaiko did end up losing the 1v1. But I just want to highlight, because multiple players on Falcons have this composure in the late round, and this is why even sometimes when they get strategically beat, they manage to stay in these rounds and they manage to win the rounds out.
Thank you very much, Jack. Got it all. That's the strategies and the composure from the Falcons to make it all happen. So, from all of us here at the desk, thank you very much for going through this day with us. We're not done yet. It's not best of 3, it's best of 5 for this series. We'll take a quick break and then come back for, who knows, maybe another max overtime map. See you in a bit. Welcome back, friends. We're 2-0 up for BDS in our best of 5 grand final. If you missed it, oh man, you really got to rewatch this. 8-7 overtime wins have been for BDS. Super close ones. It really could have been either way. But in the end, it doesn't matter because it's only the winner that gets to collect $400,000 at the end of it and our massive trophy sitting in the center of the stage. Welcome back to the Analyst Desk. We'll help you out for map number 3. I'm Medic. With me are Twister and Tristan, 2 professional coaches in the league, and they know their stuff. So how does Falcons reset and go into map 3, Twister?
To be pretty honest, right now we are just going back into the center of this story. If you remember well, we just had the first match between these 2 teams on the group stage. It was Oregon. And back there on that time, Falcons was so nervous that they just couldn't perform. So right now, what it will be? They will be nervous again. They just will play what they had to play.
They're going to be ready this time. And the other thing as well is that they get to start on the defense this time. Yep. We saw last time on defense is where they picked up their 1 or 2 rounds that they got. On attack, they really struggled. They were just so slow, and you could just see that they weren't sure in themselves on how they wanted to play it. We're not going to get that this time. We know we're not going to get that this time because this is a team that looks confident. They're a team that know they're going head-to-head against one of EU's greatest ever teams, and that's fair to say. And I think, do they have the same stamina as BDS to go this far, though? To go 2 maps, both go to 15 rounds, it's not nice.
Yeah, that is the biggest question here because it's one thing to take a loss, which is what Falcons did against BDS the first time they played against one another, but it's another when you actually recover and get to your true levels of skill in the grand final. And now this is what happens. This is setting aside some clips that have been circulating here and there. You know who you are. But setting up for this, how can it work for BDS for them to close it 3-0 in Oregon?
Just to be pretty clear, LMs was missing during this second map, so I just would say that probably on this match we will need to see that LMs from the last game yesterday. So he needs to show up, he needs to help his team, and he needs to got that kills on the flank watches.
Tristan, 3-0, yes, no?
I think so.
Twister?
Yeah.
All right, there it is. BDS takes it. We'll have to see once we get into the server. We've already been 8-7, 8-7, max OT on our first 2 maps, and maybe it'll be the 3rd one. Hello, Blue and Ollie. I hope your verses are doing well. Those games are pretty long, aren't they?
Indeed, they have, and it's, I want to be real with you, probably pretty realistic that we can end up with another 15-rounder here. We're going to Oregon after all, as we've seen so many teams play into this map. We've seen all the sites be played out. You have to hope that both teams are maybe going to have something new to bring to bear to avoid that penultimate overtime, but we'll see if we get to that point, of course, as we're going to be going live with the 3rd map in just a second. BDS are ready. The Falcons, I assume, are ready as well. And it's time, ladies and gentlemen, to see if it'll be the perfect 3-0 for Europe, or if MENA will have a little bit of bite to back up the bark as we get into our 3rd map.
Oregon is where we are going to be going for our 3rd map here. The desk, fairly resounding BDS fans, it seems, as they do believe that BDS are going to go the whole way here and now. But none of these games have been straightforward, Blue. We haven't seen BDS really be able to dominate too much. We've not seen them have, you know, fantastic round after round performances. Everything has been very scrappy, and everything has been very back and forth up until this point. 2 previous maps, both going to maximum overtime. Oregon is a map that we know to regularly go to an overtime as well. Looks like we're about to see the same bans coming out here as the Falcons are going to lock in their final ban, their defender ban. Could be the Valkyrie, and if it is, that would mean 3 for 3, on the bans so far today. They are really making us wait for it, though. Maybe debating something a little bit different, but no, there it is. The Valkyrie will be removed, nullifying some of that prowess that we know Shaiko to show on that operator. But up until this point, it hasn't done Falcons any good. Bans or not, target bans or not, they've still not been able to pick up a map.
So an exact mirror of the scoreline yet again here, or the bans rather. We'll get ourselves into the first map, first round as well, to see if the Falcons can bring to bear that winning strategy that will absolutely be needed to keep them in this series, now requiring a reverse sweep to be able to bring themselves into that winning position and be able to lift the trophy in the middle of the stage. Otherwise, it'll be BDS to take it here all the way in 3-0 fashion. They'll be starting on the attacking side as well, where we have previously seen
a good amount of success on this very map when they played in their series yesterday. For the Falcons, of course, we'll be wanting to bring that creative and strength out as well, and we'll be wanting to see that roam game come alive and well here from the very first round in the basement. So certainly going to be expecting some of it with the operator lineup. We have the Oryx making an appearance for J-Lad. And once again, we'll have a Joker going back onto the Legion with a few other elements adding into this as well. Mad Skill's still going to be playing very confidently on that Mozzie, also to deny a bit of the intel game.
Attackers are heading out to defuse a bomb.
Now, we saw Oregon yesterday, Blue. And we saw an Oregon that made us question, had we shifted into an alternate universe? We saw an Oregon where defenders struggled to win downstairs. I'm not sure if we're going to see the same again here. BDS was certainly a part of that game, as were Liquid. And it was a bit of a weird one. We did see defenders struggle downstairs in the basement, a site that is usually held in high regard for the defending side here on Oregon. We'll have to see how BDS choose to approach this on the attack and if they are going to show the same prowess that they showed yesterday. Currently, heavy stack up inside of Blue Bunker. Looks as though Rafal's just waiting for that cue to call, as there is going to be a yellow ping out there looking to disable any electronics. The drones work ahead of him somewhat. Going to be able to call 90 as clear. The Shaiko gets ready to burst on through. We'll be able to dish out a little bit of damage initially, but the opening engagement is going to favor the Falcons, as Zelen's going to be the first to fall. Renshiro and Shaiko, though, back things up, as this pushing through Blue has, for the most part, been successful.
Very direct play from BDS. Once again, ignorant of the roam game upstairs, but with good reason behind that as well. J-Lad now going to try and fire some shots in for me, and he'll be taken down. Shaiko just going on a rampage here. 3 kills already claimed, all from this back pillar clear as well. Joker tries to stem the tides, but it's way too far gone. And a very one-sided, very direct round from BDS shows up to keep that attacker-sided Oregon flowing strong and true as they take control over the first round.
That's going to feel good if you are BDS. They struggled on the attack on Villa, and they have entirely flipped the script here on Oregon, storming their way through Bunker. A very minimal take for the most part. I don't really think we saw anybody entering through Meeting. We didn't see much attention to Tower. We didn't see any attention to Freezer or main stairs. It was a very direct approach through Bunker. But that just goes to show what can happen when you have that information and you are very well coordinated. Now, we are going to see Falcons attempt downstairs again here. Surely they've got to play with a bit more bunker strategy in mind, Blue. They can't keep going for these roams.
Certainly not the case, but at the same time, what else do the Falcons have in their pocket? They've relied on this style of play throughout the entire series, and in large part throughout this entire tournament as well. We've really yet to see a much more reserved style from the Falcons ever since really day one, so there'd be a huge callback to that if they finally try to center themselves into it. This round probably not going to be it, though. You see a very similar note brought out for all 5 players here. Definitely going to be a heavy on the roam game, as they bring an appropriate operator pool to do so. We'll see Joker extend himself over here towards the small tower to look for some early pickups. He'll get at least one member of BDS looking to clear that out, but unsure if either one of them are ever going to come to blows here. It's more than likely that member of BDS will move away from this and regroup with the rest of their team.
At least you'd hope so. Alems is going to get caught there, catch Joker out there on the drone, and it is going to force Joker just to back up somewhat. He does have the goo mines that he can play around with. A little bit of an early warning system there for him. Lem's going to turn his attention elsewhere as he looks to drone out inside of green. Rafal this time on the Monty, just in order to gain that ground again. Very successful push through Bunker last time was what you could credit BDS for the round with. Rafal going to be trying to be that spearhead again. With Elbow fully reinforced though, it's going to take some sort of hard breach to get through that. We do have Bride on the Hibana. Alem successful on that roam clear, will be able to take out Mad Skills. That's a kill that he's very self-sufficiently got for himself. So we can now hear the breach start to open.
One kill struck true against Alems as he attempted to clear things out earlier on in the round, but at the same time, one back from BDS. Go against Mad Skills. Shaiko 2 for 2 on this same shot as well. Made that very same kill in the previous round here and strikes true yet again to be able to knock out Joker. Gonna take a little bit of that peppered shot back out against him here though, but really nothing to write home about. And you can see here the Monty trying to set him up for success, just too difficult to work around with the kind of static movement parameters he'll get from tapping and letting go of the key. He has to deal with another player from the Falcons position on the back stairs as well. Huge crunch coming in, but this could leave a window of opportunity open. You have 2 of
further members of BDS that could try to play into the side construction entrance, maybe even exit this, try to go back in through laundry also. But they're not taking that as an option, just going to try to brute force things here through construction. And the ignorance of the upstairs clears continue to slow them down. They'll catch one player moving across the site. BDS will be in position to watch out for that should that player try to go hyper-aggressive. And of course, Rafal has moved himself even further forward now to the very back corner of the pillar room, but still no sign of any realistic room for BDS to move themselves into the site just yet. They are held up ad infinitum until they can get this entry, but maybe an opportunity here. No, not going to happen, and even worse, the case has been dropped in the middle of the site. Kills denies the play. He'll get adventurous, start to look for an opportunity to knock out the Montaigne. They'll actually trade positions too. Could end up being a little bit of a mistake here to an extent as it pushes the Falcons out of the site and allows for a plant to go down for BDS.
I'm not sure how BDS have gained site control there. We've literally just seen Falcons run away from site, a place that they had almost on lock, and now they are the attackers. They are looking to push through and break this hold, and Renshiro's going mental, picking himself up too. Shaiko a plant and a kill to close out the round. That was a damning rotation there made by the Falcons, really giving the round away to BDS.
Just an update with regards to our top kill bounty. We're giving away a $25,000 prize to the player with the most kills overall in the tournament. Kills from the Falcons currently leads it, but Shaiko is behind him. At the beginning of this series, right around 28 kills of an advantage for Kills. But at the same time, that has now shrunk. Kills still ahead, but by only 16 kills now.
Doable is the word that springs to mind.
Might need more than this third map, though, is the problem.
He either needs a long third map. We need Max OT here or another map. Shaiko's already on 5-0. Kills has 1 kill, so that's +4 for Shaiko again. It really does depend on how Kills keeps pace, because he could just nullify a lot of the kills that Shaiko is able to get here. But already we've only seen 2 rounds, and Shaiko is on 2.5 kills per round. It's going to be very close when push comes to shove right at the end. We may have to go through and rewatch a few VODs just to make sure that nobody has missed one.
Certainly a task for Shaiko to try and reach for here, but maybe just a little bit too much. So there, it all depends on how Kills is able to keep pace more so than anything. We know that Shaiko has been consistent over the course of this series. Kills is another question. He's got a little bit more adventurous in this round. Going to take up the top position here in Small Tower. Wait to see if he can maybe strike impact. Won't be really met against any of the members from BDS, though, as they've committed to a pretty straightforward clear. They absolutely need to as well. Falcons have multiple players deployed into the upper big tower. They're going to be looking to try and waste as much time as possible with this hold.
We've seen BDS struggle with these big tower takes before as well. Mad Skills going to be throwing the kitchen sink at trying to keep hold of things here. Nades are going to start flying through. Smoke to cover the line of sight, as we're going to get an Ossa Shield placed down on the window as well. All in aid to give a little bit more security here to the attackers trying to push on through. But they're going to have to deal with Mad Skills at some point. He holds a very critical position here. You can't look to advance further in the tower without really taking him out. It all depends at what cost that comes at, whether it be multiple nades, lots of utility in terms of flashes, or even your life as an attacker to try and get that player further removed. A little bit of drone work going on at the back of rear stairs as well. Nothing really giving Mad Skills enough impetus to leave just yet. Open kill going to go on to Rafal, but Mad Skills is still going to be successful in getting the trade.
Falcons continuing to hold here. Rising fashion considering the amount of pressure coming in from BDS, but that may finally start to change things up. Not only do they knock out Joker, obviously they'll be able to take down Mad Skills now with him already being down from the outer repels also. The threat has been dealt with inside of the big tower, and now they need to focus up on the site clear itself. See J-Lad still in position here on this very tough corner. Knows he's going to be challenged sooner rather than later here, and unfortunately only having the carbine and trying to play it out, but still lines up at least one more shot against Shaiko. Elems, though, will be there for the immediate pickup. Now that leaves Kills alone in the 1v3. Reaching desperately for any type of clutch you might be able to get. That's a great start to it, taking down Renshiro. Won't be able to find anyone else in this avenue, though, and BDS with full control over the rest of the map just takes a confident stand on the inside of Kitchen. Should be able to get this plan out without too much of an issue. Kills even worse, will lose about 20 HP. He ends up impacting himself, going down through into meeting room here. Not going to be able to catch either of the players on their post-plant transition either. We'll have some intel onto the cafeteria player, but I'm not sure if he's aware of the one that's gone back up on top. Flash will full white his screen for at least 2 to 3 seconds. Still no one from BDS pushing in to knock him down just yet. They'll need to do so soon, but there's going to be a peek from him. Oh, kills with 1. We've already seen him do this before. Can he do it a second time? Ready to contend against the top side angle that's opened up from Alems. Tricks him off first. Oh, kills. He's sticking this one, though. Nope. Off of it to try and take it, but Alems gets the better of it, and BDS sink in a 3rd round.
It's going to feel pretty good for Alems in particular. Cast your mind back to map number 1 on Bank, and Rafal was in a very similar situation. Rafal and Alems, actually, if I recall correctly, and it was one that BDS ended up losing. So keeping control in the post plant hasn't been something that has always come so easily here to BDS inside of this series, but they get the job done regardless there inside of round number 3. 3 clean rounds here on Oregon to kick things off on their attack. But don't be fooled. We have seen scorelines that have avalanched one side to the other already in this series, but it is not over until that last round is played. So regardless of BDS's current advantage, you can't count the Falcons out.
Even just on map number 2, we saw that very same advantage nearly fall by the wayside for BDS as they'd gone up 5-1 after the initial half closed down on Villa. And still was not able to take things in regulation. Need to go the full distance in overtime yet again to be able to close things down for themselves. So doubt BDS is going to be feeling too secure about their position just yet. We need a little bit more of a convincing run here. Now if we end up 5-1 or 6-0 on the attacking side, maybe, just maybe they'll have that extra confidence here. But even then, if they're recalling the game from yesterday, might want to put second thoughts on that. As they are indeed, I believe, taking the tactical pause from the Falcons now. Certainly an appropriate time for it, given that we've just seen the full gauntlet be run from BDS. So the out-of-game leadership here for the Falcons is going to be able to give input on how all 3 sites have played out, before we see them go back to it again now into the basement here.
BDS have chose to approach this site in a very one-dimensional and horizontal way, often just sending Alems out there to be a solo roam clear. And he's been successful in doing so. He's often picked up 1 kill before he's been traded out. I don't think he's ever actually made it in onto the site when he's been given that task. But regardless, BDS have been able to make it work.
10 seconds remaining.
The big player in this round has been Shaiko. He's very regularly picked up 3 kills attacking onto this laundry site, oftentimes from behind the Monty shield, which isn't going to be brought this time. Instead, there's a much more heavy focus on hard breach here, Blue. We've actually got 3 hard breaches being brought.
Definitely probably going to see a much more vertical focused take or traditional take from BDS here. We had a fuse soft locked at the beginning of the prep phase as well. Obviously that got re-picked away. I believe it was Renshiro who had it at the time. But it gives us a good indication as to how BDS more than likely want to approach things. And indeed, we'll more than likely be correct about that with the initial clear that we're starting to see. Mad Skills has himself positioned in Classroom, but won't really be able to maintain it. He's going to make a mad dash back over towards Freezer. Player's already in position to counter that, but it won't matter as Mad Skills is able to get 1, and Shaiko beautifully played as he's able to find the trade onto Mad Skills and quickly taps onto Kotos to make sure that he himself does not get taken down. They've got good intel onto this push coming in over towards Laundry Stairs. They won't be fended off by that either. Falcons once again on the back foot of this situation here. Gonna have to try and make up for it.
Shaiko just narrowly missing out on his own nade there as he got caught in the magnet. A couple of opening picks has really made things a lot easier for BDS in this push. They can now look to really constrict the ability for these defenders to rotate, and we're going to get Joker making a full rotation down back stairs, getting himself back onto the site. Loads of time left for BDS here, though. They've got plenty of hatches open. They can start to burn through some of this delay utility. Shaiko just positioning himself in the freezer. Gets a great bit of info, but can't land this shot. J-Lab, the SMG, is going to be enough to shut him down. And it levels things up here.
These nice little snipes that we're always seeing from the Falcons that seem to breathe life into their rounds, especially when they have these bunkers built up behind the Kona stations that we've seen once again come out as well. And certainly looking palatable here for Falcons to finally get a first round onto the board, but at the same time, BDS had a great swing themselves to start it out, so won't count them out of the play just yet here. The time is certainly starting to get the better of them, as long as we continue to see this play in Freezer. Meet the site, though. Should be on a good pace. Able to still shut things down and have a good amount of excess behind it. It's that next kill that's been evading them, though. Rafal knows he's got someone playing around with him here on the inside of the laundry closet. Just can't lock down that player's position exactly. Count starting to get just a tad low for these guys, as most are immobile. We really only have about 2 left on the active players that can still be moved deeper into this site.
The Goyo canister going to cut off a good deal of time there on the freezer push. O'Kills got a little punch hole to be working with. It's going to be difficult to pre-fire onto, especially if you assume that anybody has been flashed, although Brede hits him with the swing. Fantastic game that Brede had over on Villa, and that's starting to translate into Oregon. J-Lad going to be lining up his next victim. This is going to be a huge kill if he's able to get it. Shuts one down, goes for the second, draws for the shotgun, and achieves the down. Final kill comes in from Joker as BDS are kept out of the basement.
J-Lad definitely getting the gold star for that round. From the snipe he got through the hatch to his heroic hold just on the outside of the freezer wall. He's really the only lone player from the Falcons that round that is able to stem the tide from BDS, fend off the execute from 2 angles at once, as remember, he managed to pick off a player coming in from laundry as well, but it works out here as the Falcons, coming off of that pause, are able to finally close out on their first round of Oregon. Still 2 behind BDS, though, and BDS is not going to want to take that loss lightly. Where do we see our defenders move up towards next? It is going to be the second floor. We'll have to see how BDS will look to clear this out for yet another occasion.
Strange to see BDS really getting stalled out on time in that last round. It's not something that we've seen happen to them too many times on Oregon. Granted, it was something that happened quite a bit on Villa, but Oregon is a very different map in terms of attacking prowess, especially for a team like BDS. All it takes is for Falcons to get one round, though, and the crowd, they come alive, they all of a sudden start the chants. It's like they remember, oh yeah, we're here to support Falcons, we must cheer when they win. Feel free to cheer if they don't get the round as well. Sometimes that might be the little bit of a boost that they need. There was a bit of a chat about fatigue on the desk, and in and around map 3, that's certainly when that starts to set in, especially for teams that haven't necessarily played in this sort of a format before.
Especially considering, of course, how the first 2 maps ended up playing out. Going the full distance both times is certainly going to be a heartbreaker. Mad Skills, though, continues to show us his own success as he just lines up a perfect one against Rafal there. Walks right into the trap. There'll be no room for trades to come in. A little bit of damage at least going to be catching the members of the Falcons as once again that fuse comes out. It's been a common pick throughout this series for BDS, making an appearance every once in a while. And this one manages to grab about half the damage off of Kotos, and they're also going to try to excel, push this forward a little bit further here too. Look, they managed to catch 2 players. They're still setting up the site. Shaiko gets away with another double kill.
When it rains, it pours, especially in Shaiko land. Picking up back-to-back frags there. Really important operators removed as well in O'Kills and Kotos. Kotos having a very quiet Oregon in comparison to his Villa game. The site looking very light here. We do have Mad Skills playing at the top of white. We've got J-Lad just hanging around there. Going to rotate onto the deployable shield and further into Kid's Dawn, but even he is coming under the pressure. Pre-fire there from the window. He's going to look to maybe try and challenge onto it, but it's going to be fairly well ill-advised at the moment. Renshiro, he's going to be there ready to dish out the damage. Just take a good amount of himself. He's also going to be a player inside of Attic as well, and is almost caught between a rock and a hard place. Just managed to achieve the kill, but gets downed in process. J-Lad not going to find the angle to finish that player off. As an adrenal surge will pick Renshiro up just in the nick of time. J-Lad isn't cognizant of that. He might get caught out here, especially if he goes for a bit of an aggressive play. Doesn't need to land too many shots, though. Will chip Renshiro down a little bit further. But his attention needs to be paid elsewhere at the moment, as there is a push coming in through the trophy. Eventually shuts Renshiro down and looks to swing onto more as the top of white stairs Goyo has been popped. Toxic Babe canister is going to start to dissipate here, but BDS still have tons of time to play with.
BDS, though, getting held up in that very same phase of the round that haunted them back on round number 4 here. Not able to make their way past that breach threshold, where we already saw Shaiko pick up 2 kills as well, but unfortunately when he found those kills, he was on his lonesome. The rest of the team was not ready to move in, so could not justify the play, and now has left the window open for refrags to come out for the Falcons. J-Lad downs one, can't peek for the confirmation on the Shaiko, however. Brede, I believe, being heavily lit up by that also, as he's going to be down to about 20 or 30 HP. Thankfully, because of the denial here against J-Lad, they'll be able to bring Shaiko back up, but the bad news, look at this utility. No more adrenal surge. He's already used all 3 of them, so the HPs are staying in place. Mad Skills takes out both the players, pushing back in, and he gets the white stairs push as well. So the Falcons keep themselves in this one away now from the tie at 3-3.
Mad skills in the right place at the right time there. BDS forced in through single doorways. They didn't have an opportunity to get the breach open, and they had no pressure coming in from the double window. That double window is, of course, crucial, and oftentimes that's where you'll have your flank watch playing. Lem's getting taken out a little bit earlier on into that round, did remove that from being a possibility. And it's kind of surprising, especially given the fact that we saw Shaiko pick up those 2 really important kills. You would expect BDS to be able to capitalize on that, but they really just got caught in the weeds inside of that round.
BDS don't know what to do with themselves, it seems, when they get the kills necessary to work their way into the site. This has caused them to lose 2 direct rounds back-to-back now, being caught up at that threshold. Great entry capability. They just seem to suddenly be thrusted into that position, though, and don't necessarily know how to follow it up. So we need to see more consistent pacing come out from this BDS roster. The follow-through needs to be seen, as otherwise Falcons are going to continue to frag back into these rounds time after time again. They only have to worry about it for 1 more round here, though, as we are in the 6th and final of BDS's attack. But the Falcons seem to be on a bit of a streak of their own, relying heavily on the interior site. Set up the problem, though, they have now had to go back over towards the meeting room. So relying again on those harsh cutoffs that have seemed to have shaken BDS's own execute. Not going to be as easy to force them into. Mad skills finally punished for his aggression, though. Rafal catches his peek out and is going to be able to take him down.
It's an important kill to get for BDS. Mad skills, a player that has picked up multiple multi-kills in this series. Always looking for a little bit of aggression in the opening part of the round, and for BDS to shut that down nice and early gives them a little bit of an edge moving into what will be the final round of their attacks here in regulation on Oregon. We've still got the small matter of clearing out Big Tower. A lot of yellow pings coming out here, as they do believe that somebody is going to be hanging around in there. We can see from the X-ray vision there's going to be nobody up there at the moment, and BDS will likely get that called as clear as soon as the drones start to work ahead. Shaiko, though, he's going to fall in a one-on-one engagement with J-Lad. Falcons level things up.
Falcons indeed keeping it even, finding a very important kill here also. Oak is going to be trying to add himself into the equation by positioning him just around that hatch. No one else from the Falcons really lining up any huge kill potential, though. So things are going to go quiet for a minute as it falls to BDS to make the next move. No easy capability, or rather, they do have the easy capability to try and knock out the back of the stage wall here. Thankfully, they've brought the EMPs on the Thatcher. Breedy, of course, in the Thermite makes it all the easier to follow that through. Something they've had access to throughout the series because of those mirrored bands showing up throughout all 3 maps so far. But they're going to focus on the attic access first. They don't want to skip any steps here, despite the fact that we're already encroaching on the 1-minute mark. They want to try and take this as carefully as possible so they can establish the harassment from the top down as much as they'll look to do from the back of stage.
Breedy going to get in all the angles open required. There is an Oster Shield upstairs as well that's going to assist with that garage hold. Kotar's going to be playing deep in behind flags. BDS might need a little bit of a 2-pronged push here to try and destabilize some of this defensive prowess that Falcons have set up. Ranchero just struggling to get rid of that Kiba barricade. He's going to look to try and flash out the player that's playing inside of Oil Pit, but he can't quite get the angle on it. So it will now disappear as the bullets do come through. Rafal is going to be successful there, taking down O-Kills. And with the attic pressure relieved, it should make things a little bit easier when BDS come to push in. But they've still got the small matter of players deep in the site, hiding out. We've got Joker and J-Lad still up and at him. Joker going to find himself a great pick over onto Ranchero. J-Lad one just before that. And all of a sudden, Falcons have the advantage. A kill will come in from the hatch. Rafal, he's had 3 on the round. Don't forget he got the opener against Mad Skills as well. 2 versus 2 now as Breedy joins in on the party. He does have the case in pocket, and he's going to look to try and get a plant down right now. Timer hitting 0, and Kotos, does he have the info? Goes for the C4 toss. It's a bit of a Hail Mary. The plant will be confirmed, but he didn't have the intel. Breedy with the pistol confirms the plant and the final kill.
So close for the Falcons, but that last player ultimately just grasping at straws for the clutch. Doesn't have the intel, as you mentioned, on the plant position, so ground goes the way of BDS. They lock in the advantage, but just barely at 4-2. Either way, it's success by normal standards here, but somewhat the expectation given the way that Oregon has played out at this event. Fairly attacker's side, and even yesterday's game for BDS played out that same way. So they'll look to take the edge yet again here against the Falcons, but who has their own defensive prowess increased from yesterday's game as they struggled just as much as their opponents did before they were eliminated in that match.
BDS's turn to take up the defense now. We're going to be going downstairs straight away. Shaiko going to be rocking that Warden pick again, just in order to circumvent some of those flashes that are likely going to be thrown in. Getting a little bit of an off pick from the Falcons right now. J-Lad is actually hovering the Capitao there. He's gone on to much more traditional sledge and then a Hibana, so really switching things around and keeping us guessing. I was looking forward to a little bit of Capitao play. It looks like we might still see it. As Mad Skills is hovering for the time being. I imagine that that will get locked in at this point.
Attacker's objective is to locate a
Obviously,
bomb.
Capitao, great operator at the minute, brings so much utility, and you do get the benefit of that secondary hard breach as well, should you need it. But you're more looking toward those smoke arrows and the fire arrows to really deny a little bit of area and, of course, deny a little bit of vision.
So we'll see the first bouts. The opening play from the Falcons start to work their way in. Skills taking that initial control towards the front door, and really Nitro coming out from Shaiko. Not really sure what the intention was there. Maybe trying to grab some initial aggressive capability that would have been moving in towards the laundry stairs, but it's met with nothing. On top of that, we'll see players from BDS quickly give up their positions on the top of the freezer stairs, not needing to put themselves into it for an extended period of time. They will quickly move back in and play towards the bunker. As we discussed before, Falcons has no problem ignoring the status quo when it came to the basement play and extending their own game out. For BDS, definitely want to take the more traditional note upon it, though. They're going to indeed try to play into their bunker hold, as that also worked much more prominently for them when they played this map for the first time in yesterday's game.
Falcons are going to be performing the jobs on the checklist, getting open those hatches inside of meeting. This is quite the contrary to the approach that we saw BDS take, where they went for a very direct line into the site and sort of forgot about any sort of vertical control, but the Falcons are looking to take that work through the hatches and, of course, position themselves in those key locations like Freezer, like Blue Bunker, so that they can have a well-rounded execute when the time calls. We want to try and burn out here as a little bit of hard breach, getting placed onto the Freezer wall just to give a little bit more of an angle. But Lems is going to be there to say, not today. We would like that kept closed, thanks, as we reinforced it with one of our panels. A heavy stack up of Falcons players here at the bottom of Laundry, as we do see the fire arrows come through now. Smoke to deny visuals, and fire arrows to go a little bit deeper. Toxic Babe to cut everything off, and kills now starting to come in. 2 for the Falcons before Lems is able to respond with 2 of his own. Is going to get shut down there, though, by Mad Skills, as the fire is still dissipating in and around the site. And Rafal and Brede have a lot of work to do. Scratch that, only Brede alive, draws it into the 1 versus 2. But with the plant going down, he needs to be very cautious as to how he approaches this one. Mad Skills comes off the plant as he's only 1 HP and can't afford to take another tick of the Toxic Babe, but hits the rotation and catches Brede in the reload.
Brede playing it all correctly up until that final push. Wasn't expecting the Falcons to get directly aggressive against him in the midst of the reload, so finally drops the clutch there. Very well played, though. Unfortunately, members of BDS just not able to contend out against that Capitao utility that have been thrusted in, relying a bit too much on their own delay from the Toxic Babes to other forms of it. Just wasn't enough to stem the tide. Falcons pushed their way directly past it. They were able to win out the trade war in the depths of the site to be able to claim round number 7 for themselves here and still keep their hopes alive. Only 1 round away again from tying us up. What would be a 4-4 scoreline. BDS, this last round was a bit of a fluke, though. They're going to go for the retry one more time here in the basement before more than likely moving on for their 2nd floor hold on round 9, irregardless of the result here.
I think it's probably wise for BDS to give it another go down here. Things didn't really go their way, but there were certainly things that could be changed. Slight adjustments that could be made. Shaiko already going to be switching out things onto the Malusi instead. The Falcons rocking a very similar lineup, so BDS likely going to be ready for the Capitao this time and that heavy stack up in Laundry. Freezer hold was largely successful from Lems as well. It all really came down to that push and that utility exchange in through Freezer. Ranchero is going to be placing a couple more magnets in and around that location this time in an effort to try and stop that being such a big problem here.
Just a bit of an update in terms of the kill leader race as well, so you guys can track it for yourselves. Oakhill is currently sitting at 3 and 6, Shaiko at 10 and 5. Shaiko will need to be plus 17 over Oakhill's if he wants to try and claim that reward, meaning that currently he needs at least 20 kills to get it, and that number will increase by 1 for every kill that Oakhill's also gets.
BDS not in the position to be feeding Shaiko kills either with how close these rounds are. It's not as if they can just say, Shaiko, go kill. They need to be playing as a team, and as such, we can see them all stacked on the basement. A full 5-man turtle here as they have gone, we don't need to roam, we don't need to risk giving ourselves up for free, because we know that Falcons are very proficient in that early round clear. You've only got to look to somebody like Madskills to know that they are more than capable of picking up those important entry kills. We are going to see a bit of an attempt at an electrical trick here onto the hatch. The Lems is going to be tasked with that job for the time being. The secondary hard breach gadget will be placed down. It looks as though Lems may have found the time in there, but only just.
It just barely played out there by our defenders. Is going to be able to properly deny things. Another EMP ready to go, however, to get that out of the way. Madskill's not immediately in position to throw. The canister down on top of it, however. So see a bit more delay in the opening of that as things will just be managed with the X-Kairos coming out from the Habana this time. A little bit more easy to manage for J-Led and the rest of the squad there. And finally, they have their opening on ELMs. Can fully focus on denying the play from back pillar, but Madskills going to be using the Kappa Tower a little bit of a different fashion this time, trying to send himself in through the back end of this, smoking out the right corner at the bottom of those stairs, but no real follow-through on that for many of these players. Are going to start to see that, though, as it looks like they may try to go, and indeed, they are going to hop directly into electrical. We'll see how it works out. So far, it's an even 1-to-1 exchange. Another member of BDS has been down, but Lem's also fully taking out a member of the Falcons with Joker falling down. Oakhill's quick to confirm over there on to Renshiro, taking him down and evening the numbers truly now into a 3v3, but things seem to freeze past that point. Falcons, what's your next move? As you got to get a little bit deeper to get into the site.
Bride got a tough task here to try and hold on to Elbow. Alem's going to pick up another kill over onto Madskills. Bride eventually finds the pick onto Kotos. As Oakhill's left in the clutch. One player inside of Blue, one player inside of Freezer. He's going to know roughly where both of these players are. The case cold on the ground, not going to be a factor here. Bride, he's got the shotgun. He's ready for this close range engagement, and he swings and lands it. Bride. Big clutch there for BDS. Things getting a little bit tighter in that round for the Falcons. BDS not looking too stretched when push came to shove.
BDS are just 2 rounds away now from upgrading their prize pool, already guaranteed $250,000 by just making it to this phase of the event. It stands in front of them, though. It's not only going to be the trophy in the middle of the stage, but also an upgrade to $400,000 in the first place purse if they can complete the set here by winning out. Very well could be the final map of this series. Falcons have to start getting a little stressed here as they are being pushed to the bitter end and have not had a response so far here inside of this half.
That prize likely to be boosted up to $500,000 as well, given that the MVP of the tournament gets $100,000, kill lead gets $25,000. We've discussed already that Shaiko is going to struggle to try and catch up to Oakhill's, at least if this ends here and now on Oregon. But if we go a little bit deeper into the series, there's nothing to say that he wouldn't win that as well. Still, I'm sure that that is a bit of a secondary thought at the moment for BDS, as they've got a very tense game on their hands. And while they might lead by 2 rounds, as we've seen from our first couple of maps here, nothing is guaranteed until you hit that map point. BDS certainly looking to stay focused here ahead of round number 9.
So away from that, Falcons out on the board yet again. Finally going to ditch a couple of the specific site operators that we saw played into their basement attack, falling back. A much more traditional lineup here for the upcoming site. We're going to see a much more active play come out from Renshiro. He'll extend himself once again into this armory position. Been seeing a few players play into it, but where's the support for Master? Nothing there to watch out for it, so J-Lad waltzes right in and makes very, very quick work of the play from Renshi.
Ooh, Lems. Ill-advised time to shoot the barricade, my friend. Madskills is there. He's going to deploy a nade to finish the kill nice and quickly. Save him, getting himself all the way up into tower. 2 openers for the Falcons. It's going to make things incredibly difficult for BDS to try and keep a hold of here. You think about all the different areas that you want to try and keep an eye on, whether that's White Stairs, in through Trophy. You're going to be worried about Attic a little bit as well. Rafale is actually going to be rotating into Attic now. With the wall fully reinforced, this is going to be quite difficult if the side push comes through. He's going to spend a long time rotating to go and help his teammates. And that's even if he can make that rotation successfully. There is a presence of Falcon players on this first floor. And whichever way he goes, he's going to be coming up against a little bit of resistance.
Falcons with no real reason to fear at the moment, especially with the +2 advantage they are working with. He is going to proceed quickly up the rappel and more than likely to start establishing positioning on the inside of Master. They use this as a springboard point to push themselves over into the site, but at the same time, there's at least one element of this defense that's yet to have been dealt with here. O'Kills knows he has one player from BDS sitting on the inside. Like he got a quick spot of it from the drone. So smart from O'Kills here. He knew he had that mute jammer sitting directly below him. Also going to follow it through the second one as well. Bride goes down. Shaiko doesn't even get to see the player that kills him. It's surgical from the Falcons as they absolutely shut down the defense coming in from BDS on that upstairs hold.
Flawless round from the Falcons, really punishing any extension that BDS wanted to try on that top floor defense. We had Renshiro barely extended into Armory and ended up getting taken out from Master Bedroom. Alems suffered some real unfortunate time, and as soon as he popped the barricade, bang, he was sent to the cameras. Difficult round straight from the off for BDS to try and work around there. They'll likely just scratch that one down to a bad experience and look to make some changes ahead of round number 10 here. Falcons slowly clawing themselves back into this, and the longer they keep BDS off that match point, the less pressure really is applied.
Is looking like it's just going to be another run around, as you said, kind of writing off that last round, more than likely because of the opening action that led to 2 of their players going down, on top of their kind of inability to get aggressive past that point, despite the fact that they were certainly set up from it. Not going to see a whole lot in changes to that regard either here from BDS, looking like they'll generally attempt to go for the same type of setup, but we are going to see the Azami get rotated out of it instead this time. Definitely not going to be going for that play into Arsenal. We saw how quickly that was dealt with. It just didn't have the manpower to appropriately defend that, so they'll focus the defense a little bit more so on Trophy while still keeping the security play alive from the looks of it.
Let's see what opportunities Falcons can find themselves in the opening part of this round. They've been very successful in that opening pick. We've often caught BDS unawares and unprepared. BDS looks to be playing things a little bit closer to their chest here and now, though. Bit of drone information there going to be gathered. We know that the Legion's going to be in play. The goo mines do, of course, have the potential to slow you down somewhat and offer that little bit of an early warning system. Toto's likely waiting for the time to strike and open up this double window. Obviously feels as though that time is now. Cut the site in half and stop any sort of rotation happening there for BDS. Now, exothermic charge will be caught in the mute jammer, but we did hear a Gon 6 go off, so it's likely in the process of being dealt with here. And there we can see it is going to detonate. The wall now will be open, giving Falcons a clean line of sight into the objective.
Step 1 completed. We'll have to see how much more they'll look to build up for themselves, though, whether it's just going to be support from the rappel or an attempt to move themselves in on a secondary angle such as big windows. Seems to be the latter of those 2 options, more than likely being deployed by the Falcons. But do they have the confidence to move in? Obviously not able to get themselves those clean openers they found in the previous round. Leaves them to second-guess themselves slightly as they prepare to move up towards the threshold. Areas like the top of the White Stairs where Renshiro still maintains positioning. There's still the security element alive and well too, and Renshiro will be able to help out on that from the top side. The smoke's going to start to work themselves in. We do see the Capital play, and now here comes the pinch, trying to work themselves through walk-in, but so far, a good defense being put up initially, but O'Kills and J-Lad working together to fend off more of that interior site pressure. A fall goes down on the lower end of this one, leaving it all to those interior site defenders, and Lem's going to try to come in on a late flank here. Wants to hop up, not sure if he needs to go for it though, but the second guessing has costed him hugely. Falcons with the full site control has now left the Lems alone. He's not even going to have a chance. Joker reads him like a book, shuts him down, and it's another round for the Falcons.
Leveled up at 5 rounds apiece here, and the crowd is getting increasingly louder as these rounds tick on by. We've almost got ringleaders of the chant now turning around and looking at the crowd, getting them all geared up for what is to come. Could Oregon be the map that Falcons finally break this streak of coming back, going to overtime, and just not getting it over the line. Once again, they have come back from an incredible round deficit, and they stand level here with BDS. 5 rounds apiece, moving into round number 11. Back down to the basement we go for what is going to be one of these teams onto a map point.
For BDS, they're going to have to hope the adjustments that were made previously is enough for them to finally come out on top of this one and lock in that 6th and final round. But then beyond that, where do they go to be able to find number 7? That'll become the big problem for them, and becomes the siren call for what could very realistically, again, become a 3rd consecutive overtime here, as our previous 2 maps not only went to that overtime, but ended up going to all 3 rounds as well. It's been a fully loaded gauntlet for both of these teams, and they can't seem to escape it. Even if BDS finds success here, they've got a pocket strat up their sleeve for the first floor hold. They need some serious adjustments to the 2nd floor play. They go back to it if they're going to look to try and claim number 7 on that site.
Falcons moving with the confidence now, knowing they have what it takes to stand toe-to-toe against BDS. They have what it takes to win a basement attack. Never the easiest thing in the world to achieve, and so far they have struggled. BDS have done a great job of holding firm downstairs. O'Kills has already got himself into a good situation on these back stairs, ready and waiting to take any opportunity that he may find, waiting obviously for some of his teammates to get into position and further move Shaiko around from his spot. Renshiro playing in and around the pillar as well. Nobody immediately for BDS is going to be occupying Freezer. That's typically somewhere that we've seen Lem's play quite a lot. Of course, he can rotate in there at a moment's notice. Previous time we saw this attacked as well, it came down to a bit of a Hail Mary electrical hatch drop. They never really go too well, so I'd like to see a little bit more depth this time out of the Falcons.
Terror drones being used quite heavily to try and flesh out some of these positions. An important one landing right there in front of the deployable shield removes that hard point for Bride and prevents him from going for these wild swings when Falcons are ready to make their construction push as well. Another one going to land true. Able to knock out some utility, holding on to that initial threshold deeper in construction. And J-Lad just whipping out these Rotero drones one after another, making quick work of the interior site utility and hopefully leaving the floodgates open for the Falcons to make a confident push at some point in the next minute and 20. Potential swing coming in there from BDS. They make second thoughts against it, and Joker, a little bit of a mistake there as they end up knocking out one of their own drones. Still 4 others though, so shouldn't be a huge takeaway from them yet. Shaiko wants to go for the swing, but instead finds a lonely target, and O'Kills hiding out there at the bottom of the stairs, knocks him out smoothly, gets another one before being traded by Kotos. However, the members of the Falcons, they're losing players far too quickly here. Alem's already taking down J-Lad. Mad skills with one more pickup before he goes down. No support available on the trade from Kotos because he's still held back by a toxic bait. And now he's left alone in the 1v3. Needs to go for a Hail Mary clutch here. No idea where to reach for his aim and where to find any one of these 3 players, but still going to be trying to move in and negotiate it regardless. Kotos going for the check on every single angle, trying to be so careful, but now that he's been revealed, has to watch his flank as well. That player deeper into the site from BDS can begin pinching against him. Doesn't seem like they want to go for it though. They're happy to play this out on the time. Maybe the very same way they're able to get this. Kotos with one. Can he be the hero yet again for this squad here? He's found that first pickup against Renshiro, but running out of time. And now a Kiba barricade blocks him off from the diffuser. To try and route himself in towards it, but he's missed the player in Freezer, and that will lead to his elimination. Alems finishes it off, and it's BDS again to get up to map point first.
Map and series point here for BDS inside of our grand finals. Falcons just falling far too quickly there on their attack inside of basement. BDS standing firm. Shaiko living up to his spot. You don't get a spot named after you in the game unless you know it inside and out, and it's a joy to watch him play in that location. Everything is calculated. He knows every single angle, every single pixel. Was a big part of the way that round ended up playing out for BDS. That and the patience that they exhibited. Even in a 3 versus 1, they were not going for swings. They were looking to waste that clock as much as humanly possible, giving the credit and the respect to the Falcons, knowing what that team is capable of. You cannot afford to give them an inch. Here we go into meeting for what could be the last round of the night.
BDS going to make an attempt at their first floor hold. We talked about this at the beginning of the last round. BDS not having the greatest results on their upstairs plays. They're going to go for the Hail Mary tertiary site and see if this will yield better results for them. We got some interesting attacker repicks coming out here for the Falcons. Most notably going to be coming back in here for Mad Skills. Able to try and use that Gara hook, maybe even the secondary hard breach utility. Could just be for the G8 as well. And oftentimes we see her picked in for that. So oftentimes see Alibi be the same thing for the defense. Speaking of which, we also have the Alibi this round, interestingly enough. Alems is going to be picking that up to maybe enable some more aggressive capability for him. The analysis desk mentioned it. Alems a little bit more quiet on map number 2, but has certainly come alive. And if he's going to be allowed onto a comfort pick like this, Falcons certainly will have something to fear if he's put into the correct position to frag out.
I really want to see where this Gara hook gets used, if it's an attempt to gain quick control of tower, or alternatively, you can, of course, move through a hatch with it. You can go from downstairs to upstairs through the hatch with the Gara hook. Alternatively, as you say, it might just be for the gun, but when everything is on the line, every pick needs to be very carefully considered as to how it is going to affect and how it is going to further play out in the round as a whole. BDS not looking to stack too heavily in on the site at the moment. They're looking to keep control of these adjacent rooms. Duff, Joker, hanging out below. Hatch open, so he could look to try and throw some utility up through. The Gara hook there, as predicted, is going to be an attempt to take quick control of this top floor, and it is going to result in a nice early kill onto Renshiro.
Renshiro a little bit off on his own, so playing a risky role from the very beginning of it. You can see a few members of BDS trying to peek out over here towards Attic in an attempt to catch the refrag, but no, it's going to come from deeper inside. Instead, Mad Skills tries to escape down the hatch, but Bride is waiting for him on the lower end. That evens out the exchange, brings us back into an even 4 versus 4. J-Lad getting a peek from someone on BDS, but he doesn't want the challenge. He needs to commit himself to this clear. They cannot have the confidence to move themselves into the site while the threat sits alive up above, but it won't work out for J-Lad. He'll be lost to Shaiko, and oh no, J-Lad, he took the case with him up there. Rafal closes it down with Shaiko, and that's gonna do it, ladies and gentlemen. BDS shut it down, and they will claim the championship here at Gamers8.
Fantastic run for BDS, not dropping a single map in their entire group and going flawless in the finals. A couple of overtime rounds thrown in there for good measure, but ultimately nobody was coming close to the level of siege that these 5 players have displayed here for us today. We've often said that BDS have never won a major championship. Well, they can hang their heads high now, knowing that they take home $400,000 as the prize.
Obviously, wait to see the results from it, but likely to receive the $100,000 for the MVP as well. We'll have to wait and see who that goes to. Unfortunately, not going to be able to see Shaiko catch up to the kill total from O-Kills, so he will more than likely claim the $25,000 bounty for the most kills in it. Either way, though, an impressive performance here, especially in today's series versus BDS. Even just looking at the matchup yesterday, we had seen some rocky things for this squad, especially for their defensive end of play, but able to make quick corrections on that. And even though they had to go to full distance in the first 2 maps, all the way to the 15th round, they still close it out both times and then lock things in at the bitter end of regulation here on Oregon to take the 3rd and final map, 7-5.
You can see just exactly what this means to the players. We've been seeing them in and around the hotel room for the past couple of days, in and around the venue, and they've always looked very relaxed, always looked very comfortable, and this is finally their moment.
Here they are, ladies and gentlemen, your champions of Gamers8 2022. It's BDS!
Congratulations to BDS. You are the Gamers8 champions. Alems, I'm going to come to you, buddy. I mean, the maps were extremely close, we have to admit. What an incredible fight Falcons put up, but you ultimately took the win in the end. Try and put into words how you and your team are feeling right now.
To be honest, we are feeling extremely happy. I mean, this is our first international win as a team, so obviously we couldn't be more happy. And yeah, I'm proud of those guys because like 2 years we are playing together, and yeah, like we played very well this tournament. This is like how we are supposed to play, and like I'm so happy.
فريق BDS هذا أول فوز لهم على انترناشونال ستيج، وكانوا يتكلمون على نقطة أنهم جدا فخورين أنهم قدروا يوصلون للمرحلة هذه. لهم سنتين يلعبوا مع بعض كروستر وما كان عندهم فرصة يثبتون أنفسهم، وأخيرا قدروا يثبتون أنفسهم معنا في Gamers 8 في رينبو 6 سيج، وفخور جدا اللاعب بكل الناس اللي موجودين معاه في الفريق.
Well, you were dominant throughout the tournament, so I just wanted to ask you, and your chance to say as well to the cameras, to the people at home, is there anything that you would like to say to your fans and to your families who have supported you throughout this entire tournament?
Yeah, thanks to all the fans that still believe in us after like our disappointed performance in the European League. Can I say something in French? Ok, merci à tous les Français qui nous soutiennent, les gars, merci beaucoup. Cette victoire, elle est pour vous. Et si vous vous demandez comment on a gagné, bah, c'est grâce à c'est parce qu'on est abonné à Mazdak. Voilà, tout simplement.
Well, thank you so much, Alems, and thank you so much to BDS. You guys have played incredibly well. Everyone in the Gamers 8 arena, please give it up one more time for your champions, BDS! What an incredible tournament. Thank you so much to everyone who took part, to all the players, to everyone in production for creating this fantastic studio, this amazing stage. It's been absolutely unbelievable. And of course, my co-host Fancy, you've been amazing. And to everyone at the casting desk, you guys are brilliant. We're going to send it back over to the desk so they can round out the day. And what an incredible day it was.
للمرة الثانية ألف مبروك الفريق BDS على فوزهم، فعلا استحقوا الفوز. جو من الجروب حقهم ما خسروا ولا جيم، ما خسروا ولا ماب، واخيرا وصلوا للبلاي اوفز واثبتوا انفسهم من جديد نتيجة 3-0، وكانت فعلا مستحقة انهم يفوزوا معنا، يكونون هم الشامبيونز معنا في Gamers 8. ألف شكر لكل الحضور المتواجدين معنا، شكرا لكل الناس اللي يتابعوننا في بيوتهم، وايضا شكرا لفريق الانتاج والمحللين والمعلقين المتواجدين معنا. يعطيكم الف عافية على دعمكم المتواصل، وشكرا لحضوركم معنا. لكن الان راح نروح على طول للاستوديو التحليلي نتكلم عن ايش صار في المباراة، كيف قدروا BDS يفوزون المباراة هذه بعد ما شفنا اداء جدا مميز من فريق فالكونز. فخذونا نتكلم اكثر معاهم على طول على الاستوديو التحليلي.